Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics, if I actually remember to turn off the intro music. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. You know what? I'm going to edit this later for the audio platforms. Let's just restart. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. You would think 110 episodes in that I'd have this down by now. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Mr. Jaevon and Shaun, Mr. Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Bear TV. Kevin Dent will be joining us as soon as possible as he currently deals with a little bit of technical difficulties, but he will be joining us as soon as he possibly can. Jaevon, I saw you shadowboxing while we were behind the scenes waiting for the podcast to get started. What's going on with the Podfather?
College football is back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means? It's gambling season. Football is back. It's time to make some money. I'm just excited. We actually get a little sneak preview. We get old Deion Sanders on Thursday night. They may or may not be on the hotline. Not sure about that, but it's just good to just the football weather starting to come back. It's just a beautiful thing to see.
It certainly is. And you said hotline. The hotline's returning today?
Hey man, we got week one. We got week one hotline that's coming out towards the end of the show. I can't wait. But it's just This is the glorious time to be a football fan. I know Kaz isn't too deep into college football, but this is the perfect time to jump in. Week 1 starts Thursday.
All right, it's not that I'm not into college football. I just don't have any team loyalty. That's all. Like, whoever gets to the championship gets to the championship, and I hope to watch some good football. And it's just more often than not, it's just the first few weeks I just see all the SEC schools blowing out everybody. So I'm like, all right, I'm only watching this just for sports betting. You know what I mean? Because I know what's about to happen.
Yep.
In no world should there be a 32.5-point spread in a football game.
Oh, no, there's Ohio State is favored by 49.5 against Akron.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy odds, man. Crazy odds.
They might put up 60.
They just might. And I don't really – like Nick Saban has said this numerous times, especially in all of his appearances on either the Pat McAfee show or College Game Day recently, where he says, I didn't want to start with a layup matchup. Like, I want my guys to be challenged in week 1 so they can see where we may need to improve early on in the season before, obviously, things get to the nitty-gritty, obviously conference play as well. But, the Buckeyes will beat Akron by 50 points, and then they will go on to win the national championship this year. And so it's all good. Otherwise, Ryan Day is going to get fired. But, Kaz, even though you don't have a team, how are you doing this week?
I'm not doing too bad, man. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. Yesterday, I went to get some new brakes and rotors on my car, and
that's always fun.
Did all that.
I do that recently.
Spent a lot of money just to find out there's still more things that need to be done. So we're past that, taking it one day at a time, man. So, but all in all, though, I'm all right, man. I'm good in health. Still got my job and stuff like that, so I can't complain.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I had to deal with getting my brakes and rotors replaced probably about a month ago, just over a month and a half ago. And that was something that financially I wasn't prepared for. But, you got to do what you got to do. And, all things are good in the grand scheme of things. And so I'm glad to hear that. And, guys, we have a jam-packed episode, as Jaevon mentioned, the return of Vonny's Hotline this week on episode number 110. You got to hang around to the end of the show to hear how you can make some money, not because the picks ain't good, but it's because we got so much to talk about, starting with the news of today, being that the Cowboys finally agreed to a contract extension with CeeDee Lamb, and we're going to do a full NFL season preview a little bit early. Our guy Kevin won't be with us next week because he's going to be celebrating his anniversary, so while we got everyone together, we wanted to do a full NFL season preview this week on episode number 110. Then we're going to get to Vonny's Hotline, maybe Shaun's pop quiz, time permitting. So make sure to stick around for the entire episode here of Stats Over Politics. So, guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. As the Dallas Cowboys agreed to a contract extension with CeeDee Lamb today, and it was certainly a big one because as Adam Schefter broke the news this afternoon at, afternoon for Kaz, still the morning for us, at 10:56 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Cowboys and All-Pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb reached an agreement today on a record 4-year, $136 million deal that now makes him the second highest paid non-QB in NFL history. The deal also includes a $38 million signing bonus, the largest ever given to a wide receiver. And Schefter provided some context on the highest paid receivers in the NFL on a year-to-year basis. Justin Jefferson is still the top dog. That is the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL at $35 million a year. CeeDee Lamb's now right under him at 34. A.J. Brown of Kevin and Kaz's Philadelphia Eagles, $32 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions, just over $30 million. Tyreek Hill, exactly $30 million. Jalen Waddle, $28.25 million. And Devontae Adams, an even $28 million. So, Kaz, I'm going to kick things off with you because this guy might be in your nightmares this year. He might have been in years past. But what are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys finally, as I say, giving a contract extension to CeeDee Lamb?
It sucks for us. Not because it's going to result in wins against the Eagles. That's not going to happen. But we could have had an easier path to that number 1 seed. And now it gets a little tricky when it comes to our division. So CeeDee Lamb, he's a dog. Can't deny it. Anybody who denies that, he got you got to check yourself into the hospital. You're not well. But now CeeDee Lamb, he's a dog. Much deserved. What I don't like about the whole contract thing nowadays is like we see all these big numbers get thrown around, and it's like every new contract to a top player, it's breaking a record. So when knowing that he came second to Justin Jefferson, I was like, I'm actually surprised that he didn't surpass Justin Jefferson, because that's the way that it trends. It's like in year after year, record broken, highest paid player, highest paid player at that position. But all in all, I mean, he played like a top 3 receiver last year. I believe did he lead the league no, Tyreek and then him in receiving yards, I believe it was. I think he led in receptions. Am I right on that?
He was definitely well over 100. I know that. I think he was somewhere around 130. Probably the amount of millions he's got. That's how many catches he had last year.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. But either way, I mean, to finish behind Tyreek Hill, who was on pace to be one of the only wide receivers that ever won an MVP. I got a question for United fans. Did Jerry Rice ever win an MVP?
No.
So that means that no wide receiver has ever won an MVP, correct?
I wouldn't say no wide receiver.
I don't think that has happened unless it's from it's like 50, 60 years ago or something like that we don't know about.
So I will fact check that. But first, I just fact check what you said about receiving. So CeeDee Lamb, and damn near, I actually almost hit that on the head in regard to how many millions he got. So he agreed to a $136 million deal last year, 135 catches, led the NFL by a landslide, because the next closest was Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown that both had 119. So he had 16 more than the guys tied for second. And then in regard to total receiving yards, CeeDee was second, only behind Tyreek. Tyreek had 1799. CeeDee had 1749.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, it's just much deserved. It's point blank period. I mean, the contract, I mean, it should have been signed a long time ago. I think the Cowboys with them, my opinion, I think that they've taken a step backwards this season in comparison to where they were last season, especially with Deron Bland being out for 6 to 8 weeks, I think it is. Already, it's like in Philadelphia getting significantly better, Washington getting better, and New York's going to be New York for quite a few more years. But regardless, the NFC East is only getting tougher because of the Eagles and the Commanders, and Dallas needed to make a surge for it, and they did not. So, all in all, signing CeeDee Lamb to that contract, it just continues to make them a contender. No CeeDee Lamb, Dallas is not a contender. It's that simple. He's a game changer. Like I said, he deserves every last dollar, and he's a guy that I can't hate on, no matter how much I dislike the Cowboys. So, yeah, I mean, was that you said 136 million, and he had 135 catches? That's almost $1 million per catch. So, get your bag, man. Get your bag and do your thing, which is not win the division and definitely not make a run in the playoffs. But hey, the money looked nice though.
Yeah, it certainly does. And Toddy, I'm sorry, I just wanted to answer his other question. No NFL wide receiver has ever won the MVP. And ironically, I just Googled wide receiver to win NFL MVP, and this tidbit was featured in an article called "Could A.J. Brown be the first wide receiver to win NFL MVP?" And then this also noted, this was from last November. It also noted that due to the NFL Players Association strike, Jerry Rice only played 12 games in 1987 for the Niners. That was probably his best chance to win the MVP, I'm assuming. I don't know. I wasn't alive. But Jaevon, what do you think about the Cowboys and Jera finally giving CeeDee Lamb a contract extension?
So, yeah, I can kind of going off of, this is per NFL.com, there was reception leaders from last year. You got CeeDee Lamb at 135, Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra tied at 119. Then you have Evan Ingram at 114, Michael Pittman at 109, Keenan Allen at 108, Stephon Diggs at 107, A.J. Brown's at 106, Puka Nacua at 105, Devontae Adams at 103, and Adam Thielen at 103. And then Jamar Chase is right down there at 100. So his usage rate is going to be up there, because if you kind of look at their receiving core, kind of been a broken record on this show. Who else is Dak Prescott going to be throwing the ball to besides CeeDee Lamb? So CeeDee Lamb is going to get his targets and he's going to get his yards because he is one of the most talented receivers in the league. But besides him, I feel like Dallas is kind of negligent on to the receiving core. I mean, their offense. What is their offense going to look like? I mean, I get they got Ezekiel Elliott back, but I mean, this offense is 4 years too late. So I mean, I've known CeeDee Lamb would have been good coming out of college. Him at Oklahoma, I watched him closely. Kyler threw him bombs left and right at Oklahoma. So I mean, just him. He was kind of a plug and play guy, kind of from the gate, from when he stepped foot on an NFL field. So. It was only a matter of time. There was an insane quote from Jerry Jones. Did you guys see that quote? He said there was only one guy that could get the fucking deal done or something like that. Because Kevin sent it into our group chat, and I was like, is this a real quote? I was like, did he really say this? And then I was like seeing a whole bunch of videos go viral. I saw McAfee said something about it, and Schefter was on with him. And he was like, yeah. He was like, is this a real quote? He's like, yeah. He's not trying to misquote him or anything, but yeah. And then, CBS, they put out like the quote and like they tweeted the quote, and I was trying to figure out, like, is this real? So, props to Jerry Jones, a guy who said that he didn't think there was any urgency to get the deal done. Seemed kind of urgent to me to get it done pretty much after the preseason ends. But I mean, hey. Cowboys, I don't think this changes anything for me or Shaun or Kaz on what we think about what the Cowboys will look like this year. Because we did preview the NFC East last week, and I'm pretty sure we all kind of assumed that CeeDee Lamb would be on the roster. And how much of a difference does it make? Maybe a game. But I don't know. Dallas is going to take a kind of a step back this year. They, over the weekend, just lost Deron Bland for about 6 to 8 weeks. He's a guy that had a whole bunch of interception stingers up for you Sac State guys out there. But he's coming off of an injury. And you got Trayvon Diggs, who's supposed to be coming back. He's also coming off an ACL injury. So kind of a couple of questions in that secondary that you'd like to see, but yeah, I mean, Dallas 9-8 team to me. That's just me. 9-8, 10-7 maybe, but I mean, this is kind of what they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I agree, and I wanted to read the full quote and shout out to Clarence Hill Jr. of the Dallas Star-Telegram because, as Mike Tato said on X, nobody gets Jerry Jones to open up like Clarence Hill Jr. And so the full quote is, and this is from Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, also the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, when he said, quote, "I've done it all, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that if anybody can figure out how to get this shit done, I can figure out how to get it done. I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I busted my ass a bunch. And there's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times they busted their ass. So hell no. There's nobody that could fucking come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. Plus, I'm where the buck stops. When it fucks up, I got to cover it. And so there, you can't give anybody enough. Can't give. There's nobody can do it. And so that's Jerry.
Gotta love Jerry, man.
I was like, no, you don't. He don't sound too happy. That's more of I'm mad I had to do it, but I got it done. So let me just take all the credit I can get while I can, even though deep down I didn't want to give him that money. But I feel like the reason why they took so long is because they know that the Cowboys aren't going to be that good this year, and why not, take the league by storm and have this whole big dispute going on in Dallas, all eyes on Dallas. I ain't trying to hear about Dallas, man. And this isn't hey, I'm not trying to hear about Dallas. I don't care. We all said it last week, but I definitely said something along the lines of like, he's going to get the contract. He's not going anywhere. Like I wasn't losing any sleep about CeeDee Lamb. Oh, he might not be a Cowboy. I was hoping for it, but I was like, no, if these are Vegas odds, this is like plus like 50,000. You know what I mean? That he's not gonna be a Cowboy. So no, I never was worried about it. It just seemed like something that they wanted to do just before the season kicks off, kind of get eyes on the Cowboys. Their fans are going crazy. Other teams are laughing at them, whatever. All publicity is good publicity. That's what a little birdie once told me. So, I mean, you got your publicity. You got all eyes on you. He signed a contract. Now watch us all just put the Dallas Cowboys in the past for the first 6 to 8 weeks. We don't care.
Yep, and now CeeDee Lamb is the 11th receiver to sign a lucrative contract this offseason, as Adam Schefter pointed out. So CeeDee Lamb obviously got his deal. Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to save all the figures. You guys can look it up if you want. But CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith. So that's 2 Eagles right there. Michael Pittman, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy. And still among the wide receivers that need to be signed is Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, and then you even include a couple other positions with Trent Williams of the Niners and Hassan Reddick with the Jets, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles. And so rather than asking about because I was going to do both, but we're going to save some time, and I'm just going to ask the one question. Rather than asking about who the best deal was of the offseason, because I know Kaz may lean to one of his guys, and Jaevon and our guy, has yet to be signed to that extension that he wants so badly. Rather than asking about that, I want to talk about Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, Hassan Reddick, and Jamar Chase. Kaz, who's the next guy that gets signed? Because the 49ers open the season 2 weeks from today on Monday Night Football at home against Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets. So with 2 49ers being on that list of 4 players who still have contract grievances, who do you think gets signed next, if there's any of them?
I mean, you said Trent was on that list?
Yep. Trent, Brandon Ayuk, Hassan Reddick, and Jamar Chase.
Who gets signed?
Because this is the time of year that shit gets done. So I figure.
I mean, yeah. That's tough. I'm not really sure how confident the Bengals are in making a run right now with the AFC North being as strong as it is. I would like to say Jamar Chase, but honestly, I think the Niners want to make another run for a Super Bowl, and if you're going to do that, you're going to need Brock Purdy with the utmost protection. I think it's Trent Williams. I think that is a top priority. I mean, you take away Trent Williams, I don't think that the Niners are nowhere near as successful as they've been on offense. Yeah. But if not Trent Williams, and I mean that in all seriousness, that completely reshapes your offense completely. So Trent Williams is probably the most valuable player out of all the players listed to their team that needs a contract. If it's not Trent, I'm going Jamar Chase because it's a wide receivers league now, and wide receivers are getting paid, and he's going to have a crazy season like we already talked about last week. I think we're all high on Joe Burrow this year. So if we're high on Joe Burrow, that means you're high on Jamar Chase in the Cincinnati Bengals for the most part. So I think it goes Trent, then Jamar Chase, and then I have no idea who else.
I agree on Trent. Toddy, but what about you? Among those 4 guys, who gets signed first?
I don't think it's any of our guys. I have lost faith. I thought this deal should have been done weeks ago. I feel like Jamar's probably going to get a deal done pretty soon. The domino of CeeDee Lamb, of seeing what they felt like he would have gotten. He may or may not get a little bit more, a little bit less than what CeeDee got. But CeeDee's numbers were better last year. Jamar was dealing with a little bit of injury and had some quarterback troubles as well last year. So I'd say over a totality of, a body of work, and Jamar's deal isn't up until he has 2 years left on his contract. So he's kind of seeing all these other guys like, hey, like these guys are getting all these deals done. What about me? But at the same time, I feel like he should have to wait at least a year. But I get, because, receivers are kind of all signing their deals now. Jamar is kind of trying to jump at the opportunity of getting the deal done for himself. So I'd say it'd probably be Jamar Chase because the domino of CeeDee Lamb kind of ended up coming out today. So I feel like he would be the next guy in line, even though Brandon Ayuk's freaking contract's been going on for like 4 months since the Super Bowl. So, I mean, hey, Would I like for it to be Brandon Ayuk? Absolutely. But what I've seen this whole entire offseason, no evidence points to there's a deal going to get done anytime soon. I'd like for it to be that way. I don't want it to go up until Sunday night and like, hey, Brandon Ayuk just signed. Sunday Night Football is going on and like, yeah, Brandon Ayuk just signed a new deal. They're ready to go get after it. So, yeah, I don't know how long that's going to take, but I feel like Jamar's deal is probably going to get done next. Trent Williams is going to be needed on this offensive line because I agree with Kaz. This Niner team doesn't go as far as we think that it would be without one of the greatest left tackles ever in the history of the NFL on your offensive line. So I think it's going to be Jamar Chase who gets the deal done quicker. But, hey, that old Schefter notification could pop up anytime throughout the show and we get a Brandon Ayuk deal. I'm all ears for it. So
as I just checked my phone, I was like,
wait, hold on. So news has broken on the show before, so I would Schefter to hold out on us now. So I think it is going to end up being Jamar Chase.
Ian Rappaport better not hold out either. I mean, Schefter's the guy. Rappaport's, if not a 1B,
Pelissero,
2.
Florio, Silver, somebody.
We need it. We need it. I need Trent Williams first before Brandon Ayuk. I have not been concerned about Trent Williams since all of this started. Like when it first hit, I was like, oh, fuck. Like Brandon Ayuk, love him dearly. Best route runner in the NFL, in my opinion. If you ask me Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, I will lean towards Brandon Ayuk simply because Deebo gets hurt a lot. Love Deebo. He's looking great coming into this year. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would keep Brandon Ayuk. And so obviously I want the 49ers to pay him, keep him around. But Trent Williams is my biggest concern. I haven't been concerned about him since the news broke. Then I was like, he's in his late 30s or mid 30s, late 30s, whatever. And he doesn't like training camp. So I'm not really worried at all about that. If Trent Williams does not sign by next Monday's episode 111, I will be concerned. Because then that's when practice for the real shit starts. And if he's still not there, I will be extremely concerned. To stand in my own question, I think it is Trent Williams. But, Toddy, you're right in regard to Jamar Chase because I feel like Jamar Chase, number one, he actually showed up at practice and he's been practicing. And I think that was a sign of good faith. And also, I was listening to Pat McAfee earlier, and Bill Belichick in his weekly appearance said, when I had a guy who wanted to negotiate his contract and still had 2 years left on it, if you don't practice, I'm not negotiating, period. And so Jamar Chase showed up. Maybe the negotiations have ramped up now, especially because CeeDee Lamb hasn't necessarily set the bar, but he's right under Justin Jefferson. And maybe everyone knows that Justin Jefferson, when healthy, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. So then they're just trying to top everyone else. CeeDee Lamb has now set that bar for that second tier. And we will see who gets it done. As we continue here on episode 110 of Stats Over Politics, Sean Holko alongside Kaz Johnson and Jaevon Toddy. Our guy Kevin Dent is still dealing with some technical difficulties. We hope that he's able to make an appearance today, but it's starting to look doubtful. Anyways, guys, let's keep it moving and let's get to our full NFL season preview. And we shall start out with the division winners. Then we're going to get to the wild card teams, so we can look at all the playoff teams that each of us have. Then we will get to our conference championship and Super Bowl matchups, as well as the winner of each game. And then we're going to close out our preview with the individual awards. If we have time, we'll get to all the individual awards, or if we're short for time, we will just get to the most important ones. So that way we will close things out today with Vonny's Hotline, so you guys all know how to make some money this weekend with college football. Week 1 starting, since week 0 was out in Dublin, Ireland, and FSU already got upset. So we'll keep things moving, guys, and let's get to our NFL division winner predictions. And Kaz, unfortunately, you're outnumbered now, and this is what Kevin was talking about a lot in regard to just being on with two 49ers fans. And so because you're on with two 49ers fans, we're going to start out with the NFC West. As far as these division winners, let's kind of try to have this be a speed round, even into the wild card teams. And then that way we have time to give our analysis on the conference championships, Super Bowl, and the individual awards. So, Kaz, I'm going to start things off with you as the only non-biased one when it comes to this division. Who do you got winning the NFC West?
Yeah, simply put, I still got the Niners. NFC West, 49ers. I mean, you got Seattle. I think that they'll be pretty solid. Who knows what we're gonna get out of Arizona, but Arizona's still gonna be in that rebuild. And I think I give it like about 2 more years, depending on how Kyler Murray pans out. Arizona might end up being a problem. I believe they're still working through some of their they have a couple of first-round draft picks still left. I think like one, or was it their last one this year? I can't really remember, but they got a strand of first-round draft picks through trades and whatnot just a couple of years ago. So they're going to continue to get better, I think. And then you have the LA Rams, which I think the Rams, we know their identity. It's Puka and Kyron, and that's pretty much it. Just something about it. It's the Niners are more of a poise team. I'm really big on poise. They've been there. They've done that multiple times with the same quarterback for multiple years now. Can't foresee anybody else in that division not even really getting close to an NFC championship game or anything like that besides the 49ers. So with that being said, the Niners are the best team in the NFC West, regardless if you guys have Ayuk or not. You guys still have one of the top defenses in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league. I know you guys had some injuries last year, but with Trent Williams on that line, and you guys are healthy, and CMC in the backfield, CMC kind of is the addition to that offensive line if you think about it, because he's so good. He don't need a prestigious offensive line to get the job done. He just needs a basic line, and he's going to be fine. So we've seen it in Carolina. He's already done it in San Fran. I think that the San Francisco 49ers win that division quite easily. So,
Tony?
Yeah, so you know me, I added the gambling aspect to it. So obviously I have the Niners winning the division. We're minus 200 to win the division. I mean, we got a lot of returning production. Defense pretty much is coming back the same. We got both corners coming back. Our D-line is a little bit different. We lost Eric Armstead. We added Leonard Floyd. We have Jaevon Hargrave, Pro Bowler Jaevon Hargrave on the D-line. Also have Fred Warner, all those guys coming back. So the defense is pretty much solid. Couple of tweaks to the offense. We are currently missing our left tackle and Trent Williams. We are also missing our star receiver in Brandon Ayuk, who I both predict will probably be back soon. Don't know when exactly, but I believe they will be there for game 1, which is in about almost 10 or not 10 days, like 9 days, 11 days. We'll play on Monday Night Football, and not next week, but the week after that. So,
49ers are 2 weeks from today. So
2 weeks from today. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't. I just had to bring for it there. I would imagine that both of those guys will be there. So, I do think the Niners are going to be one of the better teams in the NFL. So I do have them at the top of the division. Next up, I have the LA Rams in second. They are plus 325 to win the division. I think the Rams have, you could argue the Rams have, I'd say, probably the best quarterback in the division. I think Matt Stafford's up there, borderline Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner. You have one of the better coaches in the league in Sean McVay, who's an absolute stud at play calling. A lot of new additions on the defensive side of the football. Obviously, you lose Aaron Donald. They got a couple of new additions on the offensive side as well. Jordan Whittington is the guy who kind of made a splash in preseason. A lot of people sleep. Fantasy guys. I guess I'm supposed to be a fantasy guy as well. He's a lot of on a guy's radar in fantasy. Cooper Kupp, I've heard, has been pretty good in camp, and Puka Nacua was back at practice today. So there are a lot of things on the up and up for the Rams. I do think the Rams are the second best team in this division. So have the Rams in second. Third, I have the Cardinals. Now, Arizona has been, I felt like they played well down the stretch of last year. Kyler's kind of been Obviously, he came back later in the year due to an ACL injury. So you get a full year of Kyler under – this is the second year for the head coach. Cass, can you remind me of your old D coordinator's name? Forgot what his name was.
You said who?
The coach for the Rams? What's his name? The coordinator. That was your guy's old D coordinator.
Coach of the Rams.
Or not the Rams, the Cardinals. I'm tripping. Sorry.
Oh, not Shane Steichen, but
Gannon.
Brian.
Rich.
No, it's
Wasn't it Jonathan?
Jonathan Gannon. Yeah.
Jesus,
Jonathan
oh my
Gannon.
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm like going through Brian Johnson and the guys we had last year. I'm like lost. I forgot all about him. Yeah,
he did something funny I forgot last year where it was like he was like trying to say something to the players and they were recording. It was hella funny. I forgot.
You should take the bus. That's adversity or something like that.
He's like, you guys ready to go? And just crickets in the crowd. That's so
I thought he was a solid coach last year. Obviously, half the year you didn't have your starting quarterback, so you kind of got to make do with what you have there. Obviously, the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, a lot of people are going to think that I hate Marvin Harrison Jr. He's no scrub. He's no scrub.
You do.
I just think Malik Neighbors is better. I think he's going to – that doesn't mean I don't think he's going to ball out this year. I think he's going to be pretty good. Kyler's going to have somebody to throw the ball to. He'll eventually be a number one receiver. I think a lot of people love the Cardinals to make the playoffs. I'm not one of those guys, but I do think that they'll be scrappy. They'll be feisty. They'll be a very feisty team to kind of, ruffle some players for some guys. But going to my last team, which is Seattle Seahawks. I don't know why people are high on the Seahawks. Do you realize that Geno Smith is still the quarterback? Well, Geno Smith isn't playing there, guys. He's not going to do anything. He's just out there. Okay, Sam Howell is the other guy that they have available. So I'm just trying to figure out where people are like, y'all better watch out for the Seahawks. They're coming this year. Now, I get they have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
Their defense, the quarterbacks as well.
Those guys are really good. Yeah, you can have a great defense. But if your quarterback is ass, what are you going to be able to do? Let's just look at the Jets last year. Jets had a top 10 defense last year. They had Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams. Guys were making plays all over the place. Zach Wilson out there rolling out, throwing picks over here and over there. If you can't score the ball, your defense is going to get tired out and you're cooked. So I get they got a new coach. I do love their two DBs. I do love Witherspoon. I think he's a dog. And I just think their defense is probably going to be really good. What's their offense going to do? Can Geno be able to, like, what? I think I did see a report about Geno wanting like a newer deal, something like that. So I mean, Kevin's saying they have the best corners in the division. Okay, sure.
Yeah, everyone who might see like, my face as Toddy's talking, it has nothing to do with what Toddy is saying. It's all Kevin's comments.
Kevin's he's in the comments because he's Kevin.
For the audio only listeners, I will read the comments for you, but just my visual reactions, it's a little much right now. But
they got the best corner in the division. Whoop-de-damn-do. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Seattle's going to be good. I think they're going to be in the sweepstakes for one of those top picks in the league. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Cardinals are better today. So, first,
one of those cornerbacks might end up being the best cornerback in the league this year. So, I'm high on one of them. I'm not going to say anything. I'm high on one of them. One of the Seattle corners for sure.
I think Witherspoon is
Tariq Woolen.
Oh yeah,
I think he's going to finish as a top 3, if not the top corner in the league this year.
Sauce Gardner was the best corner in the league last year.
It's a hot take. All right, but you know what I'm saying? Zach Wilson or whoever they had over there. Look, we got these young guys over in New York. Their offense they gave up before it was the season even started. They didn't care. They had no fight in them. The Seattle Seahawks have more fight on offense than the New York Jets do. Let's just call it what it is.
I hope so.
Well, Kevin right now is absolutely on one in the comments. And for those who don't already know, we've referenced it in past episodes, but Kevin loves to troll. He specifically loves to troll on Instagram, and he loves to troll 49ers fans. Jaevon and I have learned over time not to take the bait, or at least pick our battles, but he's getting all these 49ers fans on Instagram riled up. And so I appreciate Kevin and also Kaz. I believe this is probably one of your listeners, 1777 Memorabilia, for joining us in the comments. And so I just want to get to a couple of those real quickly. And real quickly, I will just say 49ers are winning the division. The Rams will compete, but the 49ers are going to win the division. I will say, though, I don't know if the 49ers go undefeated again in the division. They've done it. They did it last year. I think they did it the year prior. And so all good things come to an end. They might get caught slipping by the Rams or the Cardinals or even the Seahawks on a random night. Who knows? I'm not as low on the Seahawks as Jaevon, but it'll be interesting to see who the bottom feeder in the division is this year.
Seahawks.
Just getting to a couple comments here. 1777 Memorabilia on YouTube says Chiefs versus who in the Super Bowl? You're not wrong. You didn't have to say it, but you're not wrong. And same guy says 49ers are going to have problems this year. They're going to be without Trent Williams and one injury away from a CMC collapse. Remember, the 49ers struggled to end the season last year. Kevin got a little active on our Stats Over Politics account, says, go Hawks, no Ayuk, no Trent, Niners.
How is he commenting on the Stats Over Politics?
He's wilding right now, bro. Kevin's like, if I can't beat her, I'm wilding out.
I think it's because he was accidentally still logged in the Stats Over Politics account. As we know, Kevin produces all of our content that you see on social media and on YouTube. But then he gets to his account, says, go Hawks, no Trent, no Ayuk. Can the Hawks win the division? As well as 1777 Memorabilia says the NFL helped the 49ers with the schedule. They won't face a playoff team until week 6 as well. Oh, yep, the NFL is colluding for the 49ers. Second place in the West, I got them going 6-11. Oh, all right, so we got another troll in the comments then, I guess. He might have been referencing the Rams, actually, now that I think about it. But it's the perfect setup for McVay to rebuild after losing so many pieces. And as Kaz touched on, Kevin says, Hawks have the best corners in the division. 1777 says Cardinals are an interesting team. There's a lot of comments to go through, so I will try my best not to read every single one. If you guys are intrigued, check us out on YouTube at Stats Over Politics. And you can even see, if you're listening to this later on, you can see the live replay of all the comments that are flowing through. And Kevin even says, as I showed the Stats Over Politics comment, he messed up. It's all good. Shit happens. And also, Kevin, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I got a funny one too. Just in you guys know I'm live as well. And somebody in my comment, she's one of my lady friends who wants to get into football this year. She knows nothing about football. She's using ChatGPT to give feedback, and she says, I don't think the team can do it. 49ers final curtain might come. Trent Williams carried, and I'm laughing my ass off. So I'm like, she's using ChatGPT asking for predictions. If Trent Williams isn't there, bro, that is hilarious.
That's crazy.
And also, 1777 Memorabilia says only one playoff team is coming out of the NFC West. I don't know about that, given the fact that we have 3 wild card spots in each conference now. However, you could probably see 2, depending on how the Cowboys do. You could probably expect 2 teams to come out of the NFC East. You look at the NFC North. They got the Lions, the Packers. Jaevon is extremely high on the Chicago Bears because of Caleb Williams. The Vikings, not so much, but that's 3 teams out of the North, as Jaevon would like to say, the North, that could end up making it to the playoffs via the wild card or the division. And then you even look at the NFC South. Baker Mayfield is still there. They could win the division, but then you look at the Saints. If Derek Carr can actually get it going, we'll see about that. Panthers ain't doing nothing, but the Atlanta Falcons now have Kirk Cousins. So I guess we shall see, Mr. 1777 Memorabilia, whether or not more than one team can make the playoffs out of the NFC West. And J-Box says on YouTube, how the Niners favoring the Niners. The schedule is the schedule. If the Niners were favoring Niners, they would be beating Chiefs. I mean, that pretty accurate. And so anyways, as I said, I got the Niners division. just to keep things simple. And I also let Kevin know over text to please send me his picks because, as you guys might have seen, I'm writing everything down in the notepad so we can reference this all season. And so as of right now, we all have the 49ers winning the NFC West. We will hear back from Kevin. Maybe he wants to troll and let us know that the Seahawks are going to win the division. But I guess we'll just have to find out. All right, Kaz, now it's your time. Let's get to the NFC East. And just so you guys know, and also to have nice little columns here on my notepad, Kaz, you're going to give your pick first, then Toddy in second. I'll go third. And since Kevin's not with us right now, he'll be fourth on the column. But Kaz, who do you have winning the NFC East?
Come on. I can't even troll and say another team. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to be by a landslide. Like I mentioned earlier, with the Dallas Cowboys potentially taking a baby step backwards with the news with Jerome Bland, that's a significant step now. The only team that I can really see, and this is going to sound crazy, but if Jaden Daniels turns out to be solid, I mean, if you look at the Commanders on paper, they're not a bad team. They're really not. They're really not. They're really not. So they won't be able to compete with the Eagles. But what I will say is this: I would not be surprised if the Commanders somehow take that second spot in the division. I'm dead serious. I hope for it, but I'm not just saying this out of hope. I really could see it happening, like, logically. So Philadelphia should win that division. I don't really need to go into super deep detail, but we're probably going to have one of the best, if not the best, offense in the league as long as everybody stays healthy. We're still going to have a top offensive line, I would say, from 2 to 4 offensive line this year. Even losing Jason Kelce, I think that Cam Jurgens is going to fit in just fine. He's been learning under one of the greatest centers of all time since he's been in the league. I mean, that's how you do it. Still got Lane Johnson on that line, Jordan Mailata, a top 5 tight end, Dallas Goedert. You know, the receiving core, obviously, with the addition of Jahan Dotson, A.J. Brown, number 1, Devonta Smith, also number 1, because he ain't no number 2. And then you have Jalen Hurts, who has already been to the Super Bowl. He's already been a front runner for a good chunk of the season for MVP before getting hurt that Super Bowl year. This team is well-oiled and ready to go on offense. As for some changes, and we all know how it is when a defense loses guys. Like we lost Hassan Reddick, even though he didn't have as crazy of a season as he did in 2022. Losing a guy as valuable as Hassan Reddick is massive. Yeah, we got Bryce Huff. Yeah, we got Josh on the other side, and we still got Jalen Carter. But you take away a guy like Hassan Reddick, who for sure is going to get to the quarterback over and over and over again, constant pressures or constant hits and sacks. That's a huge hit to the line. A new defensive coordinator, Darius Slay, another year older, and that's my guy. He's probably my favorite Eagle. When it comes to personality, I love Darius Slay. Got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back. We got some new guys. We got Quinion Mitchell there. He's going to play some nickel, maybe some outside. And then we have like Cooper DeJean, the new guy who actually had the worst. I believe they said he played the worst stat-wise out of everybody on the team in the last preseason game. So who knows, man? Who knows? And I was high on that guy. I still am. I think he'll get it together. But who knows about this defense? It could be a very, very bad defensive year for the Eagles, even though we have a couple superstars here and there. New defensive coordinator, new guys on the defense, that can completely ruin a season. It really can. But all in all, I don't foresee that offense being stopped. I'm talking we should average well over 24 points a game easily. I know that's not saying much, but I'm talking like easily well over 24 points a game with that offense. I mean, I'm talking within the first half, we might put up 21 every game within the first half. So Philadelphia offense is too powerful, and a lot of teams are going to be playing catch up. They will win the division without a doubt.
And as 1777 Memorabilia says in our YouTube comments, based on history, it's going to be, and he corrected himself, a new NFC East winner, which is Philly. And Jay Box even says, Saquon a great addition and will make the Eagles hard to beat, but Reddick is a big loss. Jaevon, who do you actually, real quickly, I just want to show everyone a new addition that we have made to the panel. Finally, got it in there. This is what Jaevon is always referencing. I will try to look for a higher resolution version of this image once it got blown up on the screen, but it's on the panel, and now we can add that to another Jaevon classic, which is the Shrek meme. Every time you see him leaning into the screen, that's what he's referring to. So, Toddy, who do you got winning the NFC East and why?
Yeah, I just think it's the Eagles. They are the best team, I think, in the division, most talented. Obviously, you have Jalen Hurts. They're only minus 150. I thought they would have been a little bit more juice. So, not a terrible price for them to win the division at. Yeah, I mean, they had at the addition of Saquon Barkley in the offseason, they signed Devontae Smith and they signed A.J. Brown. They're pulling money out of their ass. They have Jalen Hurts committed to a long-term deal. They pretty much have their entire offense. Their offense got better in the offseason. They had some additions. I wouldn't say new because C.J. Gardner-Johnson was a former Eagle before he left to the Detroit Lions last year and basically missed the entire year and then played like in the playoff game for them last year. So he was pretty much hurt the entire year. You have a bunch of additions in the secondary because I feel like that's where they lacked a bunch in last year with James Bradbury kind of being the butt of every single joke, as Kaz can probably attest to. Cooper DeJean, is he going to play safety? Probably. I'm still kind of curious on who their second corner is alongside of Darius Slay.
It's Isaiah Rodgers. But right now they're talking about Quinion Mitchell. They're saying he played a little outside instead of that nickel spot a little bit. And they like him everywhere.
Is he going to play nickel or is he going to be your guy's second corner? That's just something that they'll have to figure out because you guys play on a Friday in Brazil. This is Brazil. Shout out to all the people that watch Fast and the Furious. But I think Quinion could be their cornerback too. But I feel like it kind of just always comes down to the head coach. How good is your head coach? I'm not very high on Nick Sirianni, as a lot of people are. There was obviously the article about Jalen Hurts and him kind of having some friction. Kevin likes to call it something else, saying that this is not that. It's not what you guys think it is. It's because he fired his guy as the OC, and now blase. So that's another wrinkle that they'll have to look at. But, I mean, this team is talented enough to become the number one seed. So with that being said, I think Philly's going to be the number one team. They're minus 150 to win it. The number two team is, I know Kaz is kind of, doesn't know if he wants to take that jump. I think it's the Washington Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels is I had them going – on last week's episode, I had them going 11-6. They did trade their number 2 wide receiver, Jahan Dotson. That may play a little bit of a role into it, but I'm bumping down to 10-7. But I do think that they come in second in this division. I think their defense is actually really solid. You have a guy in Deron Payne who is a run stuffer. Now the secondary isn't the greatest, but I think their D-line is very solid. Their defense has been feisty the last couple of years, but at the same time, I feel like it's comes down to quarterback play, and I feel like he's going to be able to change the culture of the team with better quarterback play and motivating their defense to be a lot better than it needs to be. Because when your offense is scoring points and they need you to get stops, it makes it a lot easier out there on a couple of defensive guys. So I do think Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury in that offense. Obviously, they added Dan Quinn on the defensive side of the ball as well too. So, or being the head coach, and he's going to be scheming up defensive plays. And the Cowboys defense, when he was the defensive coordinator, was very solid in his tenure as the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. But I think Cliff in the offense is going to add a lot more juice, and Jaden Daniels is going to be a dual threat quarterback who can launch the ball 50 yards into the air. I think the Commanders are going to be very exciting. So I do have them as the second best team in the division. Third, I have the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys take a step back. Jerry Jones, obviously they signed CeeDee Lamb earlier today. He said he was going all in. Don't know what all in means, but I feel like the Cowboys got worse. They lose their defensive coordinator. Now they do have Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator, who is a very great defensive mind, in my opinion. You lost Deron Bland. I get it. Last year, he led the league in interceptions. You have Trayvon Diggs coming off of an ACL injury, as I already mentioned earlier. Dak Prescott the lack of weapons in this offense is going to be a little bit of alarming because CeeDee Lamb is a top 5-ish, 6, 7, 5 receiver in the league. He's getting paid. He's second highest paid. So, I mean, the Cowboys think he's top 5 wide receiver. That's a debate for another day. But it's like outside of him, where is the production going to come from? Is it going to come from Ezekiel Elliott? Not sure about that. I mean, I don't know how this offense is going to be able to score points. This is kind of me going back to last year when the Warriors were coming out and it was kind of like, all right, who else is going to score besides Steph Curry? Now, I'm not comparing CeeDee Lamb and Steph Curry, but it's like, besides CeeDee Lamb, who is going to be able to produce for this offense? I don't see it, so I do think the Cowboys take a step back, and them boys are coming in third. And last but not least, I think it's going to be the New York Giants. I mean, I just think there's a lot that they need. Daniel Jones previewed what he's going to look like in the preseason. He was in mid-form already, he was throwing picks in the preseason. He was throwing pick sixes in the preseason. He's in mid-form already. I think they're just trying to kind of just roll with the punches this year and trying to just get through it. This is, I think, the new GM. I forget what the new GM's name is, but he came from Buffalo. This is his first year, so it's kind of like, all right, Daniel Jones isn't really my guy, so we're kind of just trying to. We're paying him $40 million, so like, what do you want me to do? It's like this is kind of what it is. I think this is the last.
His name is Joe Schoen.
Joe Shane. There we go. Joe Shane.
Joe Shane. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
He's kind of like, all right, this is kind of, we got to roll with this guy. The Mara family decided to pay him, and they let Saquon walk. That was an insane thing to see on Hard Knocks. Very insightful as well to kind of see like the ins and outs of what it looks like, and like him saying that, let us know what offer you kind of come across and try and offer us something. The Giants never offered him anything, and that's kind of what it was. So, yeah, I just think the Giants are just going to be – I think they have a really good coach. I think Dayball's a solid coach. I think he works well with quarterbacks. I mean, in his first year, they went to the playoffs with Daniel Jones, but they did have Saquon Barkley. So I think it's going to be a rough year for the Giants. They did get from the Panthers. I am blanking on his name. The pass rusher. Wow, he goes by his nickname is Spider-Man.
Is it Brian Burns?
Brian Burns.
Yeah, Brian Burns. They got Burns, Brian Burns, and they have Kayvon Thibodeau on the defensive line. So I feel like their D-line, their defense probably is going to be solid. But I just don't know how good this offense is going to be with Daniel Jones on the hill. Now, I am not opposed to their weapons. I think Malik Neighbors is a future number 1 receiver. Jalen Hyatt is a speedster who can be an over-the-top threat. And Isaiah Hodges has kind of been a guy that's been trying to make something happen in the offense. So, is Daniel Jones going to be able to get these guys the ball? No, is what I believe. So, the Giants are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So,
yeah, and as J-Box said, Giants hit the reset button. Go ahead, Toddy, and finish up.
Oh, no, I was going to say, if you guys want to bet the Giants to win the division, they are plus 1,700. If you want to take that bet. If you want to take that bet.
If you want to throw your money away, pretty much.
17 to 1 odds.
17 to 1 odds. So I also have gotten all of Kevin's picks, so I'm able to let everyone know who he's got for each division, wildcard teams. All the picks. Got Kevin's picks, so he's here with us in spirit through the technical difficulties. Back to the NFC West. Kevin had the 49ers winning the division. That's unanimous. I have the Eagles winning the NFC East. As was said earlier, I apologize. Let's see. A 1777 memorabilia said earlier, based on history, it's going to be a new NFC East winner because it flip-flops every single year. It's going to be the Eagles. It's not going to be the Cowboys. Even if the Durs are improved, I don't think it'll be them. Certainly won't be the Giants. Do not bet that 1,700. And so I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. No surprise, Kevin is going with the Eagles to win the NFC East as well. So 2 divisions, and we are unanimous. We will see if it changes now, guys, as we move on to the NFC South. And I will just say, for the sake of time, so this isn't a 3 or 4 hour podcast, and we keep it under 2 since we just hit the 1 hour mark. Let's try to save our in-depth analysis for the championship games and the award winners. And we'll just do, like, if we still want to give the overall standings, we'll just do a quick fire of that. And also, just for that as well, I will start a 1 minute timer. So everyone's gonna have a 1 minute per division pick, just so we can keep things moving. I will start this one off with the NFC South, and I believe, as a wrestling fan, both of you probably will not get this reference at all. But for me, as a wrestling fan, there's a guy named Joe Hendry, and his stick is "I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Baker Mayfield." I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to once again win the NFC South. Kaz, who do you got winning the NFC South?
Bit of a hot take here, but I mean, not really, because that division is still up for grabs. Let's just call it what it is. I'm running with the Falcons. I think the only thing they were missing was a quarterback. The only thing they were missing was a quarterback, and they have a quarterback who his entire career has put up well over 4,000 yards, besides like one season since he's been relevant. So looking at Kirk Cousins' stats right now, from 2015 all the way to 2023, which he got injured early on, nothing but 4,000 yard seasons. One season 3,600 yards in 2019. Everything else 4,000 plus. Some would say that Justin Jefferson, people who don't know ball, he made Kirk Cousins. No, they complement each other. Kirk Cousins been doing this before Justin Jefferson was even in high school. So what I'll say is this: the NFC South is going to be the Falcons, followed up with the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, and the Carolina Panthers will come in last.
All right, Toddy, who do you got winning the NFC South?
Yeah, so I have the Falcons winning it. I think the addition of Kirk Cousins, you upgrade from Desmond Ridder. It can't get any worse than that. I think their team as a whole, you got Bijan Robinson, who's going to be one of the better running backs in the league. Alongside, you have Drake London as the number 1 receiver, Kyle Pitts, guys are like that. So I think their team is going to be good. You got a new coach too. I think the second team is the winner last year, and Baker Mayfield. You re-sign Mike Evans. Baker's coming back. They did lose their OC and Dave Canales to the Panthers, but I do think the Bucs will be a formidable team in the NFC South. They're at plus 285. The Falcons are at minus 135. I think the third best team in this division is Carolina Panthers. Give me the Panthers. I think the addition of Dave Canales, and I think Bryce Young can have a little bit more to work with. You don't have Adam Thielen as your number 1 receiver. You got Deontay Johnson. You got Xavier Legette from South Carolina. And then you got Adam Thielen, could be the nice third receiver where he should be. So I think the Carolina Panthers are better than they were last year. Are they going to be the best team in the league? Absolutely not. And the last team is the Saints. Now, I really love the Saints roster. I just hate Derek Carr. Derek Carr is just so bad, bro. I picked the Saints to go to the NFC Championship last year, and it just blew up in my face. I love their roster, but Saints are coming in last. So
that's crazy, by the way.
Yeah. It was a very crazy dark horse pick, but I mean, fell on that sword hard last year. It was crazy.
Yeah, he certainly did. And so I have the Buccaneers, as I mentioned. Kevin is also going with the Falcons. So I am the only one on the island in Tampa Bay. Everyone else is going with the Atlanta Falcons. So now, guys, as we keep things moving and we move on to the NFC North, the final division in the National Football Conference. Kaz, kicking things off with you. Who do you got winning the NFC North?
All right. First, I want to say I'm excited for this division this year. I really wish that the Vikings didn't suffer what they suffered, losing their looked like it was going to be a promising quarterback, but it is what it is. NFC North, going with the Packers. I think the Packers are going to play very, very well this year. I think they have a lot to prove. If it's not the Packers, it will be the Lions. The Lions, I think, do have a better team, but I think that we saw what Jordan Love is capable of in the last half of the season, and I think he's got some swagger. He's the guy in charge, and they got the addition of Josh Jacobs. All the receivers are finally coming back healthy. Again, look at them on paper. Look at that offense on paper. Not a bad offense. Their defense is going to continue to be what their defense was last year. Maybe it's slightly better. I'm not really sure about that, but all in all, their offense needed to take a step forward, and they did. I think that they shocked the world, and they somehow, some way, take down the Detroit Lions, who will get second. The Chicago Bears will get third, and the Minnesota Vikings will finish last. They can't catch a break. So, going with the Green Bay Packers to win NFC North.
Toddy, who do you have winning the NFC North?
Okay, guys, I got to be consistent. Got to be consistent. I'm rolling with the Chicago Bears to win the division.
Oh my God.
Plus 275 to win it. I think it's all set up for them. They were 7-10 last year. You get Roma Dunze, you get Keenan Allen, and you re-sign DJ Moore, and you get top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I think Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in this division. I think the defense is actually really good. I gotta roll with the Bears here. At one, they're plus 275 to win it. Second, I got Detroit. Detroit's basically returning everybody. They re-signed Panay, they re-signed Amon-Ra, they re-signed Jared Goff. A lot of people aren't really talking about my guy Jameson Williams. I think he's going to explode in that offense as well. I think the Packers come in third. I would like to see a little bit more from Jordan Love. I think he's a good quarterback. I mean, they won a playoff game last year. But I kind of see three teams coming out of this division. That's how good I think this division is. So, got the Packers in third, and the Vikings, unfortunately, have to come in fourth because they have Sam Darnold starting their quarterback. Their offense is actually really good. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison, who I think is supposed to miss 3 games due to suspension, if I'm not mistaken. And they do have Aaron Jones. A lot of people aren't mentioning the addition of Aaron Jones at running back. But I think they're just going to fall to it because Darnold is their quarterback, and it's like you can only do so much with Sam Darnold. So to cap it off, I have the Bears coming in first at plus 275 to win the division. The Lions coming in second. They're plus 140 to win the division. The Packers are plus 200 to win the division. I have them coming in third. And the Vikings are plus 950 to win the division. I have them coming in fourth.
All right, so I have the Green Bay Packers as the meme kept circling around of Mr. Alexander this past season. Pack is back.
Pack is back.
So not if they play the 49ers in the playoffs, but Pack is back. And so that's my pick. I would say that I have the Lions finishing second, the Bears third, and the Vikings fourth. Kevin Dent has the Detroit Lions repeating in the NFC North. So right there, we almost picked all 4 teams individually to win the division. Unfortunately, as Jaevon said, the Vikings have Sam Darnold, and we will leave it at that. So now we move on to the AFC, and we'll start out with the AFC West. This one seems like it'll be easy, Kaz, but who do you got winning the AFC West?
All right, so I'm not going to pick the Chiefs. I'm totally joking. I'm picking the Chiefs. Chiefs. I mean, let's just go through real quick. Chiefs, and then I'm gonna go with. Wow, I don't even know, man. I have no idea. There's just too many missing pieces in the entire AFC West outside of the Chiefs. The Chiefs continue to get better. They still have one of the best coaches of all time. They still have one of the top 2 quarterback of all time. Let's just call it what it is. And then they add in Xavier Worthy, who's going to be a monster on that team because Andy Reid, you saw what Tyreek Hill did with the Kansas City Chiefs when he was there. And then they went ahead and got another speedster. That offense is going to be more electrifying than ever, and that's the last thing you want to see if you are not a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. No point in getting deep on this one. The Chiefs will win it, and it should be fairly easy. So go with the Chiefs, and Denver might make a surge for that second place spot. But other than that, I would say Denver, then maybe LA Chargers. But I can't see the Raiders doing really much of anything without a legitimate quarterback. And I like Gardner Minshew, but they need more help, man. They need more. So Chiefs all day.
Toddy, who do you got winning the AFC West?
Yeah, no surprises here. Have the Chiefs winning it. It's kind of Mahomes versus everybody. I think he's won the division pretty much every year he's been there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's kind of been the case. It's kind of Mahomes and the Brady bunch here. It could be you could have the Raiders in second, Raiders in third, or wherever you want to put them. That's not where I'm going to go. I think the Chargers are going to come in second here. The addition of Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. I just think that can't not work. I think Harbaugh's too good of a coach. You're gonna see improvements week one from how good from the organization standpoint to what it's gonna look like on the field. So Chargers in second. I'll say Denver in third. Quarterback play I feel like will probably be a little bit better than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, but I mean they might not have the receivers, the talent at receiver that the Raiders do, but I feel like the coach quarterback combination will be good enough for them to be third. As my cousin Marcellus says in the comments, the silver, he said, give me the silver and black again. He picked the Raiders to win the division last year, and for like 3 weeks, he looked like a genius. I'm not even going to lie. He looked like a genius for like 3 weeks.
Jimmy G, baby.
And yeah, Jimmy G, they was winning games, this, that, and the third, and then it went all downhill from there. I got the Raiders in last, man, and I hate to say it because I really, really like Antonio Pierce as a coach. They got Jacoby Myers. They have Devontae Adams. Zamir White is a solid speedster at running back. A lot of people aren't really mentioning. And they got Brock Bowers at tight end, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. So, and they obviously have one of the best defensive linemen in the league in Max Crosby, but you got Gardner Minshew and you got Nate O'Connell rolling it out there, man. I'm just like, what are they going to be able to do on offense? I would hope they can be better, but I just don't see it at the quarterback position. So maybe this is just a trial year for Antonio Pierce, and they get Shedeur Sanders next year, and then they're off to their races. So Chiefs, Chargers, Denver, Raiders. You could take the Raiders at plus 900 to win the division, or you could take the Broncos at plus 2,200 to win the division.
Okay, so given the fact that you just mentioned that plus 900 betting line, I'm going to need Marcellus to put his money where his mouth is, because as of right now, he's being a bigger troll than Kevin. And like saying the Raiders will win the division isn't the craziest thing, but what he just said is fucking nuts, in my opinion. Raiders sweep the Chiefs? What the fuck are you talking about?
Hey, Shaun. The Raiders beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day in Kansas City.
Once. I'd like to see them do it twice.
I think they were up 14-0 on the Chiefs at home. Last year. So I mean, it's not like it's an insane. Yeah. It's crazy to think, but it's you kind of go back and look, that did happen. So I mean,
absolutely nuts.
So
I appreciate that you're trying to defend your cousin.
They won. I think they won in Kansas City without like scoring an offensive touchdown like in the second half or something like that last year. It was like an insane stat. So I mean, the Raiders did beat them on Christmas Day, which was insane.
Speaking of insane, that's the word I would use to describe Marcellus right now. Just to wrap up the AFC West real quickly, Kevin and I both have the Chiefs winning the division. So that is unanimous for the AFC West. I would probably go with the Chargers second, Broncos third, Raiders fourth. And Marcellus also mentions how he was wrong about the Giants last year. And even Jay is supporting me as he says, Marcellus, come on, bro. LOL.
He's trolling.
Anyways, he's 100% trolling. He is on one tonight. As we keep things moving, guys, let's get to the AFC East, because I honestly think that we all could have different winners for the – I mean, okay, sorry. I don't know if anyone's going to pick the Patriots except for Marcellus. But we all could end up picking one of three teams in this scenario. Just to start things out, I got the Miami Dolphins. Love me some Mike McDaniel ever since he was in San Francisco with the 49ers. You have Tua with confidence, and he is in that system for another year. He has all of the confidence. with Mike McDaniel as his head coach, especially in comparison to Brian Flores. And so with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, but most importantly, Devon Achane, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins to win the division. I'm going to say that the Bills finish second, Jets finish third, and the Patriots are last. And this is a division, as great as the AFC North is, this is a division that very likely could have 3 playoff teams. But Jaevon, what do you think about that?
Got the Jets winning the division, guys. They're plus 170 to win it. Aaron Rodgers, this defense, I mean, if you would have had Aaron Rodgers with this defense last year, they could have absolutely been a Super Bowl contender. I want people to realize how good Breece Hall is and how good Garrett Wilson is. He's going to have a competent quarterback. He's not had that since his days at Ohio State. I want people to lock in on who Malachi Corley is. He is going to be a dog in this system. I think he's probably going to be in the slot, given that Mike Williams will most likely be the X receiver on this offense. So Malachi Corley, watch out for him as well. I think the Dolphins come in second. I like what their offense brings. They're pretty much an offensive. They put up a lot of yards and stats and all that good stuff. Now I get it. When it gets cold outside, they don't have the month of May. I get it, guys. They don't operate well in cold weather games. But I feel like they'll kind of be able to skate and skedaddle their way to the second place team. I like their offense really, really heavily. The Bills, I love Josh Allen, but I'm kind of low on the Bills right now. Kevin kind of convinced me last week with his division preview or their schedule preview. You got Curtis Samuel. I think he's hurt. You're relying on Keon Coleman. I think Keon Coleman's going to be a good receiver. Dalton Kincaid out there. I mean, you're just kind of wondering what they're going to be as an offense. Defensively, they lost a lot. So it's like you're kind of – Josh Allen was already kind of putting his cape on. I feel like he's going to have to be 2 superheroes at once for them to kind of be able to wiggle to an AFC East winner. And then you got the Patriots. I think the Patriots is an absolute dumpster fire. Gerard Mayo came out in press conference today and was like, yeah, Drake May is our second best quarterback on the roster. And I'm like, well, you drafted him 3rd overall. So it's like he's going to have to play at some point. Brissett did go down with injury, but I think Brissett did say Brissett was going to be, he could have, if it was a regular season game, he would have been able to go back in the game. So their O-line's really bad. I feel like the only bright spot, I want people to realize, yes, their offense is kind of putrid, but I do like the addition of Javon Baker from UCF. I think he's going to be a really talented guy. And Jalen Polk from Washington. I mentioned those guys last week on the episode. I think Cass previewed their schedule. But I just kind of want you guys, to reiterate, those 2 guys, I think they're going to be pretty solid. So we'll give them some love. They'll get a lot of targets now because they need somebody in the receiving corps to make something happen. But yeah, Patriots coming in last. So I got the Jets coming in first. I have the Dolphins coming in second. Bills third. Patriots in last. Plus 2,700. You want to take the Patriots to win the division?
So I just have to respond real quickly because I have to defend my take. As Marcellus says, Dolphins are choke artists. And even 1777 memorabilia says, nah, Miami is overrated, man. Dolphins had 2 wins in the last 6 games, including playoffs. All great points. If you guys tuned in for last week's episode in which we did our schedule previews, when I had the Dolphins, I have the Dolphins starting 7-0 and then finishing 11-6. And so obviously they're going to end up losing 6 of their last 10 games if that scenario happens. For me, as long as they get into the playoffs, and even if they're not at home, as long as they don't end up in negative degree weather like they were last year, I think that they will learn from that experience and be better for it. But that's what happens when they get to the playoffs. We're talking about the division winners, and all these teams are going to beat up on each other. 11-6 can win this division. But Kaz, who do you have winning the AFC East?
So I'm conflicted. I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not confident on this pick, but I do have Miami taking it. I took Miami for some of the same reasons that you mentioned. Their offense. They didn't take a step backwards at all. If anything, they're going to be even better. That doesn't mean Tyreek Hill has to put up 1,700 yards again when you have guys like Jaevon and Shaun who did miss some games last year. We forgot about that. For the fantasy football people out there, you know what I'm talking about. That was a huge hit. Jalen Waddle was like non-existent all season long. That ain't going to happen again. And Tua does have his confidence. I think Tua's going to play very well, and Tua might be a sleeper for MVP if things pan out. If he mitigates the interceptions and they do what they did last year, I don't see why not. He's going to put 1,000,001 yards. So the Dolphins' offense is going to be fine. Maybe even better. Who knows? More complete, not just a Tyreek Hill fest. Defense-wise, they don't. When you have a great offense, time to time, again, it's been proven in the current NFL that we watch now. You can do it with a really good offense. You don't have to have elite defense. It does help, and it does make the path easier, but these offenses nowadays are crazy. So I'm going to stick to my guns and go with Miami. In a very close second, I'm going New York. I think that the Bills are done. I think that New York's defense is legitimate. Aaron Rodgers is that guy. You have one of the best quarterbacks of all time. As long as he can stay healthy, he doesn't need to move much. He doesn't need to move much. He can do it all. Teach these young guys how to play very good football down the stretch. I think these guys are going to rally behind Aaron Rodgers and do very well. Their defense is going to continue to be a problem. Point blank, period. In that division, it's just two up for grabs. I think the more complete team probably wins it. That's why I said I was conflicted. I would say New York comes in second behind the Miami Dolphins. If those flip-flopped, I wouldn't be surprised. Buffalo's done. I mentioned last week, you lost Stephon Diggs. That is a massive loss, whether you like him or not. It's huge.
100 catches.
That is massive. You can't replace that, and they didn't do anything to replace that. The Bills are done, point blank, period. And then in last place is obviously the Patriots. They may win a game. So going with Miami. I'm serious, bro.
Only one.
Listen. I covered the AFC East last week on the episode, and I think I had them like winning. I think three or four. Yeah, but I'm serious. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they just literally won one or two games. I would not be shocked at all. So I was being more generous with my take last week, but Patriots, they come in dead last. If somehow, some way they finish third, Lord have mercy.
So we are officially split on the panel, including Kevin, because Kaz and I have Miami. No Bills picks, besides maybe in the comments. But as I'm alluding to, Kevin has Jets, Jets winning the AFC East. So now, guys, we're going to move on to the AFC South as we get to the last two here of the division winner predictions. Then we will quickly get to our wild card predictions, get to championship game predictions, as well as NFL awards, and close things out with the scolding hot Vonny's Hotline, which is going to go 4 for 4 this upcoming week. So getting to the AFC South, Jaevon, who do you got winning it?
So I have the AFC South. I got the Texans. Love CJ Stroud, what they did last year. They did nothing but get better. They added Stephon Diggs. They get Tank Dell back. They re-signed Nico Collins. You add Joe Mixon. They added Danielle Hunter to this defense. So, I feel like it's a no-brainer for them to win a division. I wish I would have put some money on them to win it last year. I think they're odd. Their win total was literally 5.5 games last year. So, they will literally went from like worst first. So, second, I do have the Indianapolis Colts. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be one of the nice young quarterbacks that we kind of talk about when we talk about, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. I think Anthony Richardson will end up being one of those guys. Why do I think that? He has Shane Steichen as his offensive coordinator, so he's going to be a big part for them. Shane Steichen and Gardner Minshew were literally you could argue a play away from being in the playoffs. I forgot who it was that dropped the fourth down play at the end of the season finale last year. So I think the Colts come in second. I think the Jags are a third place team. I think Trevor Lawrence and the boys step back a little bit. I don't know if third place gets WP fired, but they lose Calvin Ridley and they replace him with who is it? Gabe Davis. I think Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU is going to be a really, really good receiver for them. He's been tearing it up in practice from what I've heard. You got Travis Etienne in the backfield. I think he's going to be able to make some noise. Evan Ingram, one of the league leaders in receptions that I mentioned earlier in the year, is going to be a solid addition. But other than that, I'm not sure how good Trevor Lawrence is, along with how good this division is. I think the Texans are better. I think the Colts are better. And so I'm just going to have the Jags in third. And with that being said, shout out to my boy Ev. Got the Titans coming in last. You have DeAndre Hopkins, who was hurt. He's saying that does not matter. I feel like that's huge for a second-year quarterback in Will Levis. You do add a Calvin Ridley to this offense, but you do also lose Derrick Henry. I think that's a big part of it. I think Callahan is probably going to be a really, really good offensive play caller for them. Don't know how good Will Levis is. I do like their win total, though. The win total is 6.5. I think they could win 7 games. They can go 7-10. I feel like that's something very doable for them. The Titans usually shock somebody at home, one of these division games. So they might beat the Texans at home, or they might beat the Colts at home. You might see one of those games where it's like, oh shit, the Texans or the Titans just won. So year 1, 7-10 for Callahan is you consider that as a win, I think, when you have Will Levis as your quarterback, and everything that they kind of have to offer too. I do want to point out that I do think the secondary for the Titans is one of the better secondaries in the league. You get L'Jarius Sneed, you get a Quandre Diggs. People are going to try and say Jamal Adams is up there. Jamal Adams is a linebacker at this point in his career. I don't know how good he is at covering, but I mean, he's really good at, being on the outside and being able to make tackles in open space. So I do think their secondary is one of the better secondaries in the league. Just wanted to point that out. But I mean, it kind of all depends on how good Will Levis is. So that's where I have it at. Texans are going to win the AFC South.
Jaevon, you have a question from a member of Kaz's audience as Chicken says, yo, I'm coming from Kaz's. Is that a Marvel versus Capcom shirt? Also,
yes,
Derek Carr taking the MVP this year, 30 plus TDs.
No. Go. Run. It's a trap. I'm telling you right now. I literally picked the Saints to go to the NFC Championship. It's a trap. I'm telling you right now. What was the name, Shaun? Pull it back up.
Chicken.
Chicken. I'm telling you right now.
Name Chicken.
For God's sake, do not fall into the trap of the Saints. Yes, the Saints have an outstanding. When I say their roster is literally outstanding, like they have one of the best. They have They have Demario Davis. They have Marshawn Lattimore. They have Cam Jordan. They have guys on defense. You have Chris Olave. You have Alvin Kamara, who's one of my favorite running backs in the league. You have all these guys. Derek Carr is hot ass. It's not going to matter. Nothing matters. Nothing matters if your quarterback's bad. Now, because Derek Carr is a little bit fragile, if he does get hurt or something bad were to happen and he gets benched, you have Spencer Rattler in the mix a little bit. We're talking about a different team. I think Spencer Rattler was literally one of the – yes, I agree with you. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. None of that matters if Derek Carr is bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Derek Carr is terrible.
I can't tell if my boy is trolling or not.
And literally throws the games away, like when you bet on them on Thursday Night Football to beat the Jags, and they can't do it at home. So please don't fall into the trap of the Saints. I fell into it last year. I literally said they were going to the NFC Championship game. I think they went 7-10 last year. So that's kind of for you to find out, I guess. I guess you'll just see. When you start seeing Derek Carr, like, oh, Derek Carr is thrown for 300 yards, but they're down 10 points? How is that possible?
Well, I appreciate members of Kaz's audience for joining us here in our YouTube comments. And one last thing from Chicken. Derek Carr taking the MVP, 30-plus TDs. Vegas giving me 21.5. I asked my bookie to give me a 27.5 plus line. That bitch at plus 29.
You took the alt line. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
Love it.
And also,
love it. Sounds like we got a gambler in the comments section. Love it.
We sure do. So, Chicken, make sure to stay tuned to the end to hear what Vonny's hotline got for you this week. And also, shout out to Grey Wolf, who is also from Kaz's stream. So, Kaz, the people, your people, have been waiting to hear your AFC South pick. Before we hear it, though, obviously, Jaevon just picked the Texans. I also have the Texans. Kevin has the Texans. Are you making it unanimous, Kaz? Because there was a comment earlier that says that the Texans seem like a trap at minus 200 based on the odds. So, Kaz, are you going to make it unanimous?
I will make it unanimous, but it's just the same thing as I said about the AFC East. Like, dude, I don't know, man. The Colts should be pretty damn good. I mean, I'm crazy high on Anthony Richardson. I do think he's Cam Newton, like, reincarnated. I really do. If he can stay healthy, just with a little bit of help on offense, with him being healthy, is like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The guy's got a rocket arm. He's hella fast. He's gigantic. And he obviously was really good in college. And that's saying a lot because you guys know I'm not a college guy. But it's like that dude is a unit, man. Like, I mean, his injury last year was granted, he was running the ball a lot. He was. But his injury last year, it's like I think he learned from that, and he's going to play a lot better. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts take it. Somebody in my chat, too, earlier said that actually, I think it was Grey Wolf, said that the Jags could be a sleeper, which I think is crazy, but more for my stream, whatever, Ray. But yeah, I think that it's going to be either the Colts or the Texans. I'm taking the Texans, the Colts in a very close second. Then I'm going with the Jags, and then we're going to end with the Tennessee Titans. I kind of low-key, as much as I liked the Texans run last year, and I love CeeDee Stroud, I like what they're doing over there. It's because finally, for the first time in my life, I can see the Texans be good. Like, I'm older than everybody in here, right? Obviously. And it's like, man, the Texans have never been good. Like, they just never been good. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool seeing the transition, man. Like, the highlight of watching the Texans when I was younger was, well, I mean, they got Andre Johnson and Aaron Foster. That's pretty cool. I think they made maybe 1 or 2 playoff appearances with those guys. I don't really remember.
Respect the Deshaun Watson era.
No, I'm not. They made a playoffs with him too, right? I believe.
Yeah, they were up 21-0 at one point in time against Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, and then lost.
Toddy, even worse, 24-0.
Yeah, so they pulled an LA Chargers against the Jacksonville Jaguars 2 years ago. Yeah. But anyways, no. So I think it's cool, but for some reason, man, I think Toddy made a good point. Having Shane Steichen as your head coach, that dude's a mastermind, bro. And he's a guy he almost did it with Minshew. He really did. And I think Minshew's one of the best backups in the league. Hell, he might be the best backup in the league. I mean, who knows? Because he's done it on how many teams now? And it's like Minshew's kind of that guy where if your guy goes down, you want him to come in there. He can actually get the job done. He can get you 3 or 4 wins if your guys are out for quite a few weeks. So Anthony Richardson is probably double the quarterback Minshew is and ever will be. And I think he might shock us, but I got to go with the Texans, man. The Texans they have the better coaching. Yes, I said better coaching. I think they're hungrier. And I think that they have something that they want to prove, man. I think the Texans, CeeDee Stroud alone is not going to let this slip out of his hands. So the Texans are going to win that division.
I did want to add on the Colts. The Colts I'm seeing are plus 330 to win the division. The Colts receiving core is kind of flying under the radar. They have Michael Pittman Jr., who they signed. Adonai Mitchell, the receiver that they got the star receiver out of Texas, who was a stud. Josh Downs in the slot is a sleeper who was kind of battling injuries last year. And I think he got hurt in training camp this year. I do think their receiving core is very solid. And you also have Jonathan Taylor at running back too. So, I mean, that helps when you have one of the better running backs in the league. So I think their offense can make some things happen with Shane Steichen at the helm calling plays. So
they might have a better offense than the Baltimore Ravens, man, if you think about it. If you compare the offenses. Yeah, I mean you got Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. We can obviously give King Henry the slight edge for certain reasons.
I would just say the coach from the coaching perspective, I would rather have Shane Steichen. Like if you gave Lamar Jackson Shane Steichen, it'd be game over. It would be game over.
Exactly. So
That's kind of where I'm looking at it at.
You got Zay Flowers, Pittman, you got Josh Downs and Bateman. You got, it's like that's very similar if you think about it, and they're in a weaker division. So I would not be surprised if the Colts take it, but the Texans, I got to stick with my guns.
All right, so now we get to our final division, being the AFC North. Who do you have winning the AFC North, Cass?
Going to stick with the ones who won it last year, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the Ravens, they're them dogs, man. I mean, the addition of Derrick Henry, bro. The Ravens have been doing this. What is it? 2 back-to-back years losing all the running backs, and they still find a way. Like you know how hard that is. Like Gus Edwards became a name because of injuries. J.K. Dobbins, we don't even know what he can even do because he had his one season and then just that's it, man. And J.K. Dobbins, no injuries. Let's be honest, he looked like he could be a top 5 back possibly. So like, you take away those injuries, you give Lamar Jackson some more help. He doesn't have to put the team on his back, even though people will argue that he doesn't have the greatest stats. He's not the best passer. Dude, I'm telling you right now, man, I don't think people understand the kind of shit Lamar Jackson does, bro. Like, to extend plays the way that he does and to convert the way that he does and, to do it with Rashad Bateman, who can't even stay healthy and is not even who they thought they were going to be when they drafted him, and Zay Flowers, who definitely is a very good receiver, but they need more than just that. Mark Andrews was there. He got injured last year as well, and still the Ravens were a problem. They were a force. They had to lose guys in order to be, a team to compete against. You understand that, right? You give the Ravens a complete team, their defense is nuts. Okay, you give the Ravens a complete team on offense and defense, they're going to be a problem. I think they have that right now. I think the Ravens are going to completely just ransack that division. Now, coming in a close second, got Joey B and the Cincinnati Bengals. I would like to say that the Bengals could compete with the Ravens and possibly, win the division. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals actually get third in the Browns win the division. I think the Browns have a much better team than the Bengals all around. Yes, even on offense, not because their offense is better, but just because I think that when it comes to their defense and time on the field for the offense, their defense is going to get stops to where the Bengals defense is not going to get stops. So a lot of the Bengals offensive numbers are going to be very inflated. They do have a great receiving core, arguably the best receiving core in football, and Joe Burrow's coming back. They're going to get their numbers. But what I'll say is this. Looking at a team on paper, take away – I mean, you saw what happened. You take Joe Burrow out of the equation, what happened? They died. They just died. So do I think Joe Burrow adding him in just means that they're going to just rummage through the Browns? I do not at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they have trouble with the Browns. They're going to for sure split the Browns, if not get swept. So I would not be surprised if the Browns take that second spot, but I'm going to stick with my guns, and I think that Joe Burrow is going to be just a little bit too much of a great addition to that offense, and they're going to win games by just scoring a lot of points. Browns come in third, and then the Steelers, who don't even have a true QB1, will come in dead last.
Well, Marcellus, the resident troll, says Steeler country, let's ride. Jaevon, this is arguably the toughest division, and so who do you have winning it all?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. MVP, let's respect Lamar Jackson. You went to the AFC Championship game last year, and you add Derrick Henry to your team. Like, what are we talking about? Like, the Ravens are going to be one of those teams in the AFC that you're going to have to watch out for. They spanked the Niners on national TV on Christmas Day last year, I might add. Yeah, I just think the Ravens are just going to be one of the better teams in the league. Now, they did lose Patrick Queen on defense, but I think they'll kind of be able to fill that void and mask that linebacker position because they do have Roquan Smith on defense still. So I think the Ravens are still really good. They're going to win the division. I have Cincinnati coming in second. I think Joey B and the boys are just going to be a force to reckon with as long as he's playing. Super Bowl window is open as long as he's playing. That's what he said, direct quote from him. You got T. Higgins coming back. He's playing on the tag. You got Jamar Chase, hopefully, that's going to be back in style. Don't know who their running back is. I think we just looked it up last week, and I forgot who it was. But they did lose Joe Mixon, but I do think they still have Joe Burrow. Things will still go copacetic. So got the Bengals coming in second. Cleveland. I guess this is for you. They're coming in third. I mean, I don't know what Deshaun Watson is anymore. You gave him all that guaranteed money a couple of years back. I saw something about Nick Chubb going to start the year on the PUP list probably, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. That's going to be something you got to watch out for. You did get Jerry Jeudy in the offseason, and you still have Amari Cooper. So, I mean, their weapons are cool. I like David Njoku at tight end. But we don't know Deshaun Watson's kind of a big question mark. This could just be like, if Deshaun Watson's good, they could be a force to win this division. So, Cleveland at 3. I do think, Myles Garrett, obviously Defensive Player of the Year. Their defense is really solid. I do like their DBs, Greg Newsome and those guys in the secondary. They make plays. So, I got them coming in third. The old Steelers. How good is Russ? How good is Justin Fields? Is Justin Fields running around doing his thing? You have a number 1 receiver, an NFL young boy, as they like to call him. I mean, besides George Pickens, who else is going to be a threat for them? You have Najee Harris alongside, I forget the other running back. I'm blanking on his name.
Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren. He's a really good back as well. So you got Arthur Smith calling plays. It's not Matt Canada, but I mean, you still need guys to kind of be able to make plays. So we'll see how good Russ can be. He didn't have a bad season from a stats perspective last year, but I mean, you need to see more from him. He needs to be better. He needs to play better. So Mike Tomlin, could this be the year Mike Tomlin has a losing season? Maybe. I'm not sure, but from what I'm looking at it today, I think they come in last in the division, which is insane to say because they can beat any of these teams. Every time the Steelers play the Ravens, they beat them. Every time I saw a stat of whenever the Steelers play Lamar, like the Steelers have his number. So I do have the Steelers coming in last. They'll probably be 7-10, 8-9. That's kind of where I have the Steelers at. So Ravens to win it. Bengals coming in second. Cleveland in third. Steelers in last.
I completely agree with Jay Vox that Field should start. Jay Vox, just so you know, I have a club that's established called the Justin Fields Fan Club. Stephen A. Smith, based on his rant against Russell Wilson last week, may be the new vice president, but we're looking for a treasurer. So if you're interested, Jay Vox, let me know. I'd appreciate it.
It might be our guy Cordell. He might be the treasurer.
Oh, all right. Welcome, Cordell. Welcome, Cordell. And so this is another division that we on the panel have being unanimous. I have the Ravens winning the division. Kevin has the Ravens winning the division. Just for how I see the rest of it shaking out, the Bengals are going to finish second. The Browns are going to finish third. And the Steelers are going to finish in last. Actually, you know what? Take that back. Well, yeah, no. I said it. I'm sticking to it because the Browns have a great defense. And so if Deshaun Watson can be anything like he was in Houston, the Browns should finish third. Kevin also has the Ravens winning the division. So that is unanimous for the AFC North, which is arguably the toughest division in the NFL. So episode 110 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kaz Johnson, Jaevon Toddy. Our guy Kevin Dent is here with us in spirit. So now, guys, let's get to the rest of our playoff picks, and we'll quickly go through our NFL wild card predictions, and then we will get to our championship game predictions as well as our NFL award picks, and we'll close things out with Vonny's hotline. So real quickly, I will say my NFL wild card predictions, and this is all based on the division winners that I had. So in the NFC, in order, I have the Lions getting the number 1 wild card, the Falcons getting the second, and the Cowboys getting the third. As far as the AFC goes for me, I got the Bengals, who barely finished second in the AFC North. I got the Bengals getting the number 1 wild card. The New York Jets get the second. And this was tough for me deciding who gets that third spot between the AFC North or the AFC East. And I ended up going with the East as I have the Buffalo Bills getting my final AFC wild card spot. For Kevin, He has the Packers in the NFC getting the first wild card spot. I don't agree with this one, but it's his picks. The Seattle Seahawks getting the second wild card pick. And he may have gritted his teeth, but he has the Dallas Cowboys getting the final NFC wild card spot. And for Kevin's AFC wild card teams, he has the Bengals getting the first wild card, the Dolphins getting the second. And we all know he loves him some Dougie P. He's got the Jacksonville Jaguars getting the final AFC wild card spot. Kaz, I saw that reaction. I agree with you.
Kevin's my guy, bro. I ain't
gonna let that go.
I'm gonna chill out. We good, bro. Hey, he might be onto something, man. We'll see what's up, Kevin.
He might be onto something. So, Kaz, who do you have as your wild card team, starting with the NFC and then the AFC in order, please?
Yeah, NFC first slot. We got the Detroit Lions because remember I took the Packers to win the division. Second slot, I got the Dallas Cowboys. They'll find a way, and then the third slot, the Seattle Seahawks. As for the AFC, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, and the New York Jets, and then the Indianapolis Colts. 2 AFC South teams making the playoffs.
All right, Vaughn, who do you have for your NFC, then AFC wildcard teams?
So I'm the first wildcard team. I have the Lions because I put the Bears to win the division. Second, I have the Packers. So I think 3 teams make the playoffs out of that division. And then I have the Commanders making the
Oh my gosh.
Let's go Commanders. So
yeah, who's your second spot?
So
who's your second spot? Second spot?
So we have the Lions, the Packers, Commanders, and then the
Cowboys don't make the Cowboys don't make the playoffs.
Cowboys
I'm having a field day.
Lions, Commanders, or Lions, Packers, Commanders. Yeah, Lions, Packers, Commanders.
Well, as Chicken says, fuck the Cowboys. That's something
Yes.
that Eagles and 49ers can agree on.
Yes.
So, Toddy, who do you got in the AFC?
Also very tough. Got the Dolphins, and that's first wild card spot. I got the Bengals in there because we had the Ravens making the playoffs, and I'm probably gonna end up picking the This is tough. Even the Chargers, Harbaugh and the boys make the playoffs. So we got so we have the Dolphins at the number 1 wild card spot. We got the Bengals, number 2 wild card spot, and then number 3 wild card spot, we have the Chargers. Harbaugh and the boys get it done.
All right. So that is our wild card picks. Maybe later on, maybe next week, we can go over every playoff matchup we have, but we don't have time for that. Now it's time to get to our championship game predictions here on episode 110 of Stats Over Politics, guys. As we shall start out, even though this isn't true, we'll start out with the better conference, at least when our bias is shining through, and that is the NFC. So I will go first. I'll give Kevin's, and actually, you know what? Yeah.
Kevin's first.
So, all right. Well, any guesses on what Kevin's NFC championship game matchup is?
Eagles against
Eagles, Niners. Eagles, Lions, or Eagles, Niners?
Which one, Kaz?
I'll go
say
Eagles, Niners. Eagles, Niners.
It was Eagles, Lions.
Okay.
Eagles, Lions. He's politicking. Eagles, Lions for Kevin. The other one that you mentioned, that's what I have. I'm going to show some respect to Philly, and we're going to get the matchup that we wanted last year, that should have happened last year, that is like, I just want to see both teams play each other healthy. That's all I want. And so if we can get the game that should have happened in 2022, I will be pleased no matter who wins. Like, obviously, I'll be upset if the 49ers lose. But if we could just get this damn matchup the way it should be, I'll be happy. I have the 49ers and the Eagles playing in the NFC Championship game. So Kevin, no surprise, has the Eagles advancing to the Super Bowl. I have the 49ers advancing to the Super Bowl. No surprise. I mean, it's biased, but also these are arguably two of the best teams in the NFC, and so it's not crazy. Kaz, the K names are getting me today. Who do you have in the NFC title game?
I have the Eagles at home, number 1 seed, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, running it back.
I love it.
Running it back, and
rematch from 2 years ago.
literally the same thing from 2 years ago. And the same result. Eagles will advance comfortably again.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jaevon, who do you have in your NFC title game?
Oh, I don't think it's any surprise. I have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Chicago Bears in the NFC Championship game. Yes, you guys are looking at me and saying
this is deja vu, just like the Saints pick last year. I'm sorry.
Once upon a time, there was a guy named Patrick Mahomes who went to the AFC Championship in his first year starting. Just saying, that did happen. Now, I'm very high on Caleb Williams and this roster at hand. I love his receivers that he has. I love the team that he has. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got DJ Moore. He's got Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, who Kaz is very familiar with, Cole Kmet, and Gerald Everett. I mean, it's just the defense is very, very good. You have all-pro Jalen Johnson on the other side. I think their defense is one of the best team. They're one of the best defenses down the stretch. And I think Eberflus is really, really good defensive coach. And I feel like Caleb is going to solve all of their offensive problems. And I got them getting to the NFC Championship game. You can laugh at me now. This is why we have these things.
I'm trying to respect it, bro. I'm not trying to laugh.
Why we have these things.
So
I think Chicago's going to be
I'm not trying to laugh, bro, but damn, bro.
Chicago's going to the NFC Championship game.
Hey, man, Grey Wolf likes the pick. And
I love
the chef. The chef is cooking.
For our new listeners, I have been since 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. I said Caleb Williams was a top 15 quarterback. This is him coming off of his Heisman Trophy year in his junior year. Had him a top 15 quarterback. So I've been consistent literally the entire way that we came to this point. So, I mean, we can laugh. We can when people. I'm just saying when we start seeing Caleb Williams, and you're gonna see all these reposts. Oh my God, Caleb with the 60-yard bomb to Rome Odunze. You're gonna start seeing these things.
What's crazy is if this happens, that is going to be a hell of a show.
Hey, that's all. Hey,
oh my God!
Give me the Chicago Bears to the NFC Championship game.
So I can't read the comments have been going crazy, and it has a lot to do with Kaz's audience, and so we appreciate you guys. I can't read them all. This is why, for the audio only listeners, you got to tune in on YouTube and you can check it all out. But my favorite comment that I just have to read is where Chicken says, "Holy shit, man's the new Dave Chappelle with that joke." And oh man, like it, whether or not it happens or not, like you all got us, Toddy. And like I truly. Like, I wasn't trying to interrupt you when you were giving the analysis for the pick, but it just feels like deja vu all over again with that Saints pick. Like, just earlier, you were like, they got me.
Chicago's going to make the playoffs, though. The Saints didn't even sniff the playoffs.
Yeah, but you had them winning their division last year, and you have Chicago winning their division this year. And so, hey, man. Hey, hold on. We got it. It's pixelated. We got it. Chicago Bears in the NFC Championship game. Man. I don't think – man, that's crazy. They haven't been there since they lost to the Packers in the NFC Championship game, if I recall correctly. Oh, man. The Jay Cutler Chicago Bears. All right. So, and also, as Chicken says, you might as well just say Chicago winning the whole thing. Well, he just might. Keep tuning in. So, let's get to the AFC side, guys. So, just starting out for the AFC, Kevin and I have the same AFC matchup, and you guys might have it as well, as we both have the Ravens and the Chiefs playing in the AFC Championship game. The difference is Kevin has the Chiefs advancing. I have the Baltimore Ravens advancing. I want to see I think we will see the matchup I thought we were going to get last year, where with all the conspiracies of all the red and purple Super Bowl graphic, it means the 49ers and the Ravens are going to play. Then you got two red teams. I got the Ravens and the 49ers matching up in the Super Bowl. We'll have to wait for my pick, even though those who know me know where I'm probably leaning. And then Kevin has the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Those who know him probably know where he's leaning. But, Toddy, who is your AFC title game matchup?
So, yeah, no surprise. I have the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, but they are going to be on the road going to Houston. Yes! I like
no way.
They're going to be playing against CJ Stroud. They're going to be hosting the AFC Championship game. I just think this team got so much better in the AFC. They probably will be the number one seed based off of this pick. I'm assuming that Houston's going to be number one. I think they are like plus 1,200 to be the number one seed, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I do like all the additions. And you said, who do I have advancing, Shaun? Or you asked me who I have going to the Super Bowl? Got the Texans going to the Super Bowl.
Wow. All right. So you have a matchup of the 40, or you said the 49ers advance. I don't know. Did you answer that question?
Yeah, the Niners advance that game.
Okay. So, all right. So unfortunately, Chicken, they're not going to win it all, but he does have the Bears in the NFC title game. So Jaevon has a matchup of the 49ers and the Texans in the Super Bowl as the Texans defeat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Kaz, who do you got in the AFC title game, and who advances to play your Eagles?
Yeah, so obviously, like most people with a brain, I have the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game because Mahomes has like 17 fucking properties there. He lives there, okay? It's his. So he's going to be in the AFC Championship game. Taking on, what's Stephen A. Smith say? He's a bad man.
I like that.
New York Jets in the AFC Championship game,
like
bro. Yeah, we didn't go over the actual divisional round and things like that, and you guys will understand why I picked the Jets. But regardless, I had the Jets getting 2 dubs. I have getting 2 dubs in the playoffs. Looking at the matchups that I had, and they'll see the Chiefs. So the Jets will win a wildcard game. They will win a divisional round, and they will see the Chiefs. The Chiefs will advance. Another repeat of 2 years ago. Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And do I have to say it? I don't think I gotta say it, bro. We're not going. We're not going, bro. We're not. Call me a homer, whatever you want. If we sniff that Lombardi, it's ours. It's ours.
All right, so with your matchup in the Super Bowl, Kaz, of Eagles versus Chiefs, you have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I'm going to add something at the very bottom of this note page. Who's the Super Bowl MVP?
I mean, I don't really know, man. Honestly, I mean, they'll give it to a quarterback, but if not, I think it might be surprise. No, Devonta Smith. He'll be unstoppable.
That's not far off.
He'll be unstoppable. He'll probably have about 180 yards and like 9 catches. Yeah. Oh yeah. All eyes on AJ. All eyes on Saquon. Jalen Hurts can run the ball a lot still. Devonta Smith's gonna be the game breaker. In a game like that, air it out to Devonta Smith. He'll take care of it. Let him have it, man. Let him have it. He'll get the job done.
Toddy, with the matchup of 49ers versus Texans, who do you have winning the Super Bowl, and who is your Super Bowl MVP?
Niners win. Give me Brock Purdy, Super Bowl MVP. We're going to Disneyland.
I love it. All right, so Toddy has the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy is the MVP. Kevin has the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, just like Kaz, and he also has the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And so the 2 Eagles fans got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And no surprise, the 2 49ers fans have the 49ers winning the Super Bowls. I have the 49ers defeating the Baltimore Ravens. I forgot to ask Kevin for his Super Bowl MVP pick, so he will be able to tell you all about that next week. As far as the 49ers go, I'm going to go with the guy who was the offensive player of the year. I mean, just for storyline wise, it'd be fucking dope if Brandon Ayuk won it because like all this shit going into the season, all this talk. I'm going with the guy who is the offensive player of the year. That's Christian McCaffrey is going to be your Super Bowl MVP. So that does it for our season predictions, guys. Now, as we just surpassed the 2-hour mark, let's get to our NFL award picks before Jaevon gives us his picks for Vonny's Hotline to close out today's episode of Stats Over Politics, episode number 110. Starting out with our NFL award picks, we got to start with the most important award of them all. So, Kaz, who do you have winning the most valuable player?
Jalen Hurts.
Thank you. Jalen Hurts. Too much on that offense, man. I look at Lamar's MVP that he won last year, and it's like, yeah, he had to put the team on his back. Again, he didn't have crazy stats. He really did. There was other guys who had more impressive stats, but closing out the way that he did, it got him the award. I think that Jalen Hurts was a little bit snubbed in 2022 when he was the front runner all season long. The Eagles were a problem, and we made the search of the Super Bowl, and he would have been Super Bowl MVP. We would have won that. I think now's the time. I think, and this is me being completely unbiased, I want to say this: it's going to be really hard to fuck up this offense. Something tremendous has to happen for this offense to plummet, and I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be sharp. He's been sharp all camp. Hasn't played preseason. Protect the ball. Just protect the ball, man. Protect the ball. You got Saquon Barkley there. You got a new guy calling plays. They're finally putting guys like Devonta Smith in motion, which we've never seen before, which is going to be a problem for everybody. I'll stay at home, and I mean this from a very unbiased perspective. I really do. I think Jalen Hurts is just going to have a phenomenal year. Not a lot of picks, a good chunk of yards, a good chunk of touchdowns, and just a lot of wins. So, yep.
All right, Jaevon, who do you have as your MVP? Because Grey Wolf has CJ Stroud.
Bro, is he like in my notes right now or something? Like, what's going on here? I got CJ Stroud winning the MVP. This kind of matches like what I have of me having the Texans going to the Super Bowl. I would think that it had something to do with CJ Stroud having a monster year. I just think with all the additions that he has to this team, it just gets easier for him. So I do have CJ Stroud at winning the MVP with Super Bowl berth. So, I mean, hey, second year in the league, and you're already a Super Bowl he goes to the Super Bowl, and he wins the MVP. So, I mean, things are going to start to stack up for him pretty quickly. So I have CJ Stroud winning MVP.
As Grey Wolf says, great minds think alike, Jaevon.
He's in my notes, man. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy.
I guess so. And I just got a message from Kevin. He has Jalen Hurts winning the Super Bowl MVP. And Kaz,
my dog. That's my dog.
Kaz, wait just 15 more seconds. Oh, he just stepped away. Well, thank you. Kevin has Jalen Hurts winning the regular season MVP as well. So Kevin has Jalen Hurts winning regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP. So there you go. And now for my MVP pick. Sorry about that, Kaz. You can step away if you need to.
That's what some
17. Oh, perfect. That's what I need to get. The 1777 memorabilia says MVP won't be Mahomes. J-Vox agrees as he says this with an arrow up. I'm here to tell you, you guys are wrong. Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP this season. The Chiefs aren't going to win the Super Bowl, but he's going to win the regular season MVP because Chiefs were so inconsistent last year during the regular season. They're going to try to come out and make a statement, not because they think it matters. They know it's the long game rather than the regular season. But I got Patrick Mahomes winning. It would be his second regular season MVP now, right? Correct, guys? And so third. I got Patrick Mahomes. Third. Okay. He already has two? Okay. I thought he just had the one. And as Jay says, he will not, my dude. I guess we'll just have to see, my dude. So I have Mahomes winning MVP. For Offensive Player of the Year, Kevin has Saquon Barkley winning Offensive Player of the Year. Kevin.
Mahomes has two.
I can't believe he has. Okay, he does have two. Okay, thank you, Jaevon. So that would be a hat trick for Patrick Mahomes with regular season MVPs. Kevin has Saquon Barkley as the Offensive Player of the Year. I hope he stays healthy. Kaz, what do you think for Offensive Player of the Year?
Hey, Kevin, you the man, bro. You the man, dog. Offensive Player of the Year, Joe Burrow.
All right.
Yep. 1,001 yards. A lot of touchdowns. No
Is
Super Bowl.
Oh, wait, no, it's not. Yeah, I'm tripping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow all day.
All right. Jaevon, who do you have for your Offensive Player of the Year?
I have Tyreek Hill. He was in the MVP race up until I'd say like the last 6 weeks of the year last year. So I kind of going back to what Kaz was saying. I think he's gonna have 1,001 yards. He'll probably have like 1,700 yards, something ridiculous, and like 10 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. Yeah, I think Tyreek Hill is going to be in that conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. If not, as long as McCaffrey doesn't have 20 touchdowns again, it's going to be Tyreek Hill.
That's a great pick, but I'm going with another wide receiver. Kaz, you're not going to like this, but the guy who just got paid today, CeeDee Lamb, is going to have another great year. I don't know if he'll lead the NFL in receiving catches again, but he will, instead of Tyreek Hill, he will lead the league in receiving yards. I got CeeDee Lamb as the Offensive Player of the Year. Kaz, who do you have for Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year.
Jalen Porter.
Okay, chill out now, brother. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might not be too far off. Right division, but no, Micah Parsons. I think this is good. It's gonna be a good year for him. He still is unstoppable. I think that he's obviously on the same caliber as the guys like Myles Garrett. They're gonna just take turns getting Defensive Player of the Year until probably over and over and over again for many more years to come. So we saw guys like J.J. Watt do it. I believe T.J. Watt. He's at what, 1 or 2? T.J. Watt. I know he has 1 for sure. But regardless, I think that these guys are they're on another level and they're in on every play. They're gonna get the job done. I think that Parsons finds a way to make it happen. So Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year.
All right, Jaevon, who do you got?
I'm going with T.J. Watt. I think he is just a monster. He was on a tear last year. I think he got hurt. Well, he did get hurt last year, so he missed the majority of last year, so his stats wouldn't have been able to kind of get to where it needed to be. But I think T.J. Watt is like the best defensive player in the league, in my opinion. I just think like he literally scores touchdowns or forces fumbles that lead to touchdowns. Like he literally could add to the spread of a game. Like if TJ Watt isn't playing and the Steelers are, let's just say, 1.5 point dogs, and then they announce, oh, TJ Watt's not playing, the line would move, in my opinion. That's how much I think how significant he is to this team. So I'm gonna go with TJ Watt.
All right. So for Kevin, he has a repeat. Myles Garrett is going to win Defensive Player of the Year again, according to Mr. Kevin Dent. I have another previous winner, not from last year, even though gig 'em. I have Nicholas John Bosa winning the Defensive Player of the Year. Health permitting, Nick Bosa will be the Defensive Player of the Year. So now, guys, let's get to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kaz, who do you got and why?
Well, you guys already know by now. Obviously, I'm not big on college, so I just I play around with it a little bit, do some researching and watch some film, and I'm just like, you know what? I keep hearing about this Malik Neighbors guy, and I mean he's in my division, and I'm like, it's too good to be true. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. all day. Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh yeah, all day. I think that. I had a pump fake you. Here's the thing: both teams, it's going to be either him or Malik Neighbors, I think. But I think that both teams are going to be playing from behind a lot. That means the offense has to get rolling. A lot of opportunities to put up a lot of yards, touchdowns, etc. But the difference is, I think that Kyler Murray is actually going to come back and be a pretty solid quarterback. Daniel Jones will not. That's going to be the deciding factor for me. So I think that Malik Neighbors is going to be open a lot, getting overthrown a lot, as to where Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be. I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. He was number 1 receiver picked last year, right?
Yeah,
In the draft?
Sure was. As he is, despite what Vonny may say.
And he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. Offensive rookie of the year. So MHJ all day.
I love it. OHIO. Jaevon, who do you have as your offensive rookie of the year and why?
I didn't know Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name was Caleb Williams. That's crazy. But I just think it's going to be Caleb. Based off of what I have, how far I have the Bears going, it should be a no-brainer. But I think just this year, you're going to see – he's going to break, like, eventually. I don't know if he's going to break it this year, but, I mean, it's going to be, like, a long time. I mean, I think I saw something on Hard Knocks where they said the last time they had a 4,000-yard passer, it was, like, 50 years ago. So, I mean, does he break 4,000 yards this year? It's not inconceivable. I don't know if it's crazy, but I think I see him throwing for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. So give me Caleb Williams to be offensive rookie of the year.
I would have been extremely disappointed if you didn't pick Caleb Williams after all this top 15 talk for the last 2 years. But I am also going with Caleb Williams. Just seems like a slam dunk pick. I'm not as high as the Bears as a unit, even though his wide receiving core is arguably top 5 in the NFL. I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. Just seems like the easy pick here. Easy money if you're a betting man, even though he probably has negative odds. But I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. As far as Kevin, he's going with the quarterback, not Caleb Williams. He's going with Jaden Daniels of the Commanders is who Kevin has.
He's a madman, bro. He's a madman. Kevin is a madman.
Does he have – he didn't go as far to say that they're making the playoffs, though. He didn't say that.
No, he did not. No, he does not have the Commanders making the playoffs. But he does have Jaden. Maybe Jaden Daniels puts up big numbers. They just got they just traded away one of his receivers, being Jahan Dotson, to the Eagles. Kaz, real quickly, I just have to ask this just because I need to know. Who's going to be the number 3 wide receiver? Do you think it would be Jahan Dotson, or maybe even like, I don't want to butcher his first name, but Smith from Texas A&M? Do you think he could be the Anias? I was gonna say
it's Jahan Dotson for sure, without a doubt. That's too much speed. Sure. And also, I'm not a big college guy for my own personal reasons, but like I'm taking experience over chance any day. Give me a guy who I know can put up numbers and play his role as a true number 3. So I watched Jahan Dotson. Obviously, we play the Commanders twice a year, and I've just kind of kept my eye on him a little bit. And I thought that Jahan Dotson was like, I mean, he had a lot of plays where he was open. They just didn't throw it to him. I'm like, this guy can be legit. He kind of showed signs, not on the same caliber, but like how like Tank Dell just kind of came out of nowhere. Like he came into the league and it's like, okay, he was supposed to be good, right? But nobody probably expected Tank Dell to be as good as he was last year, because we didn't know that CJ Stroud was going to, be as crazy as he was last year, right? Because it's all about Bryce Young. I think that Jahan Dotson, with the right quarterback, can be a problem. I think he's comfortable where he's at. He doesn't want to be a superstar in Philadelphia. Good luck anyways. You're not better than Devonta Smith. You're not better than A.J. Brown. Hell, A.J. Brown might not be better than Devonta Smith, if I'm being honest. Accept it, man. You're on a great team. Enjoy winning. I think Jahan Dotson's definitely going to get that spot, and he's going to be great.
Yeah, Jaevon, shame on me for not getting Anias's name correctly, because I was thinking about it as you guys could probably guess how I may have thought about pronouncing his name. I knew that wasn't correct, but yeah. Anyways, so Kevin has Jaden Daniels, Jaevon and I have Caleb Williams, and Kaz has Marvin Harrison Jr. So now how about defensive rookie of the year? Jaevon, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have as your defensive rookie of the year?
I have Dallas Turner. I think he's going to be a problem off the edge for the Minnesota Vikings. That might probably be one of the highlights for the Minnesota Vikings, considering that they lost their quarterback for the whole year, at least their rookie quarterback. He was essentially the number 1 pick for defense, and he went like 15th, which is kind of insane. I think he's going to be a problem off the edge, and he was one of the best pass rushers in college last year, so I'm going to roll with Dallas Turner.
All right, and for myself, this is a bit of a homer pick, just being here in Sacramento, California. But I'm going to go with the guy who was the first defensive player drafted in the 2024 NFL Draft of the Indianapolis Colts, formerly Jesuit High School. Then he went to Washington and then to UCLA. Going with Laite Latu of the Indianapolis Colts. He nearly had his career ended because of a neck injury. We thought he would never play again. And now he is in the NFL. He was a first-round pick. Going with Laite Latu, Jesuit High School alum out of Sacramento, California. Kaz, who do you have as your defensive rookie of the year?
I got the same guy that you picked, so I'm not going to try to say his name because hell no.
Leatu
Latu.
Tony got me.
I picked him because I was lost, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, God, who are these guys, man? Who are these offensive guys?
Defense, yeah,
offensive guys, especially this year in the draft. It's like pick number 15, I think he was. And I'm like, okay, so therefore, not even a top 10. So many wide receivers went this year in quarterbacks, and it's like no top 10 pick was a defensive guy. And in previous years, you'd catch one, and in some cases, at least two within the top 20, right? I'm like, well, number 15, looked at some film. I'm like, okay, I get it. Saw a team played for. I'm like, flip the coin. Heads, I'm picking them. Tails, I'm not. Heads. That's it, man. So I apologize. I can't give you guys any real reason why. Just going with the number one defensive player drafted from last season, and that is Leatu Latu. So hopefully I'm right. I'm not putting any money on it.
My other guy that was kind of I didn't want to cut you off, Shaun. The other guy I was kind of thinking about was Terrion Arnold from the Lions, cornerback from Alabama. Alongside, I saw Grey Wolf in the comments said Kool-Aid McKinstry was a guy who I wanted the Niners to draft, but the Saints ended up getting him, I think, high in the second round. But I think Terrion Arnold will be a problem for the Lions for sure.
And as far as Kevin's pick goes, the Philadelphia Eagles are just winning everything.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Exactly.
Should have said
Kevin so Kevin.
Let's go, Kevin. Let's go.
Kevin has Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. So now, guys, the final player award before we close it out with Coach of the Year, and then we get Vonny's hotline for those hot picks. We're going with Comeback Player of the Year. I'll start it out. I'm going with the guy that you guys all have, not me. I have them getting a wild card spot, but all of you have this man leading his team to a division title. His new team being Kirk Cousins is going to be the Comeback Player of the Year. As we know, he tore his Achilles last year. He's coming back from it. And those stories, like, unless you're DeMar Hamlin, those stories tend to hit, or even a Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, too, with how he kind of had a career resurgence. I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to be the Comeback Player of the Year, so I'm going to go with a guy who's coming back from injury, and I'm going with Kirk Cousins. As far as Kevin goes, he's going with Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals to win Comeback Player of the Year. Jaevon, how about you? Who do you got for your comeback player?
Give me Aaron Rodgers. He played 4 snaps last year. I think the Jets make the playoffs. Kind of a no-brainer for me. Aaron Rodgers basically, he played 4 snaps last year. Highly coveted on the show about the Jets bet of week 1 last year. Thought we were dead in the water first game for our first series. Thought we were dead in the water. Then the game somehow goes into overtime, and Shaun, I always forget the guy's name that returned the punt.
Oh, dude, it's been Hard Knocks. It's been too long.
He's a hero. That's all I'll say. But give me Aaron Rodgers to win Comeback Player of the Year. All
right, Cass, who do you have as your Comeback Player of the Year?
The guy who's going to be playing in the AFC Championship game, Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm not sure, and Toddy, maybe you know what the odds are for him to win it, but I'm pretty sure he's like probably the front runner, I'm guessing, to win it. If not, maybe Joe Burrow. But regardless, I just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back and show everyone, hey, guess what? I can do what Tom Brady did. I'm old as hell, and I can still get the job done, and he has weapons everywhere. So all he has to do is the same thing I said about Jalen Hurts. Just protect the ball, man. You got the guys there. Just protect the ball. And who not better than a guy who's been in the league, who has a Super Bowl, who's been an MVP, than Aaron Rodgers to go out there and play very comfortable, put up a lot of numbers, get a lot of wins, make a playoff appearance, win a playoff game, and win comeback player of the year. So
Aaron Rodgers is plus 200. Him and Joe Burrow, but they're both plus 200 to win it. Kirk Cousins is plus 500. Yeah, so. Anthony Richardson plus 750.
Oh, Richardson's another good one.
And
that's a sleeper.
Nick Chubb is plus 1,700.
That ain't happening.
I like it, but if he's already starting the season on the PUP, it's like he's off to a slow start. And so, and J-Box even says, "Why do I feel like Aaron is done?" I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out.
A really good value pick, Kyler Murray at plus 4,500.
I like it. I like it. And
intriguing.
And value picks like that is exactly why everyone has to stick around for Vonny's Hotline coming up in about 5 minutes. Before we get there, we got to get to Coach of the Year. And while we get to Coach of the Year, I got to highlight another comment from Jay Vox, who says, "Love the bias, Kevin." So, how I'm setting this up, you guys could guess who Kevin has as his Coach of the Year. None other than the coked out guy on the hot seat, Nick Sirianni. Kevin has Nick Sirianni as the coach. Well, to be fair, when I asked Kevin, I said, "Who's Coach of the Year?" He just said Nick. I'm assuming he meant Nick Sirianni. And so Kevin has Nick Sirianni winning Coach of the Year. And so if you're keeping count at home, Kevin has 1, 2, 3, 4 Eagles winning individual awards this year. That's more than half because there are 7 awards that we've talked about. 4 Eagles are going to win.
He's going to be right on 1 or 2 of them. He's going to be right on 1 or 2 of them. He's going to be right somewhere, bro.
Oh, man. And Chicken, I'm not going to highlight that comment, but all right, man. Anyways, so for me, I have the Miami Dolphins winning their division. And if they're going to do that in a stacked AFC East, Mike McDaniel is going to win Coach of the Year. And so I'm going with Mike McDaniel as my Coach of the Year. Kaz, please tell me that you are not picking Nick Sirianni as the Coach of the Year. I mean, hey, man, if there was a comeback Coach of the Year award, Nick Sirianni would be at the top of the list as a candidate. But who do you have as the actual Coach of the Year?
I got Matt LaFleur. I think that the Green Bay Packers are gonna handle some teams, and it's gonna be due to very good coaching because the Packers, like I said, they're still a little bit away from having a complete team. But again, if they make it to the playoffs, maybe make a surge, who knows? I think that they're gonna run that division. Like I said, I have them winning the division. I think they're gonna beat a couple teams that they probably shouldn't beat. I think they're gonna be a problem on the road, and I think that a lot of it is gonna be because of the coaching. So I'm gonna give Matt LaFleur his stripes this year. I think the Packers shock a lot of teams. If they don't, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm just high on the Packers because seeing how they finished the season with Jordan Love and also beating the dog shit out of the Cowboys in the playoffs, I'm like, okay, that's kind of all the spark you need to come back. You go, all right, y'all. So we about this or what? We saw what's his name do it. Detroit's head coach, Lord.
What's his name? Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Thank you. We saw him do it. They put out there at camp saying, "I need you guys to trust me. I trust you guys. Y'all need you to trust in me. I got you all day." And then make a run and damn near make it to a Super Bowl. So I think it's gonna be something like that. I'm not sure if they're gonna make a run for the Super Bowl, but I do think that they win a playoff game possibly. And I think they win that division. And I think it's mainly because of Matt LaFleur's expertise. So going with LaFleur.
The final NFL award pick coming from Mr. Jaevon Toddy for Coach of the Year is?
I got DeMeco Ryans winning it. I think he should have won it last year, to be honest. I think they gave it to Stefanski last year, but Stefanski had Joe Flacco. He kind of came in off the street. I get it, but DeMeco Ryans, first-year head coach and a rookie quarterback, their win total is 6, and they win the division and win a playoff game. Should have been DeMeco last year. So I think it's DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to be one of the best. He's going to be a top 10 NFL. I think he's already a top 10 NFL head coach, to be honest. So he's going to be like one of those coaches that you're like, you want to start the franchise with, you go with DeMeco Ryans.
All right, that's a good pick. So now it is time to close it out for episode 110 with the return of Vonny's Hotline. Who do you got for your college football picks this weekend, Jaevon?
Okay, guys, we are here. College football is back. We're excited. I can't wait. So, I mean, I guess the first game of the day would be, I think it's the that's the first game we're gonna start with. We're gonna go with Miami is traveling to Gainesville. They're going to play the Florida Gators on the road. Cam Ward, this will be his first start in Miami, obviously transferring from Washington State. They are going to be 2.5-point favorites. We are not betting the spread in this game. We are going to take them straight up because it's very tough to win. It's very tough to win on the road, especially in Gainesville. Florida is like one of the toughest places to play. And I just think that they get the job done on the road. I think they have a better team. Florida has a really tough schedule ahead of them. Their quarterback, Graham Mertz, he's okay. He's like kind of a game manager. I really like their freshman that they signed, DJ Lagway. He was the #1 recruit coming out of high school last year. I don't know if we see him in this game, but we might see packages of him. But I do think Miami is the better team. So I'm going to take them on the spread. I could be wrong. I think this might be the first game. Georgia versus Clemson. I think this is a neutral site game, if I'm not mistaken. Georgia, they're coming off of a SEC championship game loss to Alabama. If this were the 12-team playoff era last year, they would have still been in the playoff game, or they still would have made the playoffs. But obviously, since they lost the SEC championship game, they kind of got booted out. So, yeah, man, I think Georgia is just from top to bottom. They got studs everywhere on defense, studs everywhere on offense. They get the transfer. They get Travis Etienne's little brother, Trevor Etienne, transfer from Florida. I think he's going to make a lot of noise. I think Carson Beck's he's a Heisman Trophy finalist favorite. I think he's going to ball out. Don't really know how good Clemson is. You got Cade Klubnik there. Antonio Williams, the receiver for Clemson, is really cool. As Marcellus says, USC plays zero defense. We'll get to that. But I do think Clemson is going to get rolled here against Georgia, so I'm going to take Georgia on the spread. The next game, I think probably in the middle of the day, it's going to be Texas A or Notre Dame travels to Texas A&M. They go to Kyle Field. This is going to be a really good game. They have a new head coach, Mike Elko, who they got from Duke. He's known for kind of changing the program there. Jimbo Fisher was kind of, he was hanging on to that national championship from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, so, sure was. Overrated.
They were signing a bunch of talent, but they had a lot of talent transfer out too. So that's why I'm kind of like, you had so much talent in-house, but couldn't really get the job done. So Connor Wegman, he's coming off of an injury-riddled season last year. I think he was playing pretty well kind of before he got hurt. So I think the defense is going to be good because Mike Elko is a defensive head coach. So the defense is going to be stout. It's really hard to win at Kyle Field. I get Notre Dame is like a top 10 team in the country. I don't know how good Riley Leonard is. A lot of people are really high on him. I think he's okay. He's good. But I'd like to see a little bit more. I just think it's going to be a lot for him going on the road at Kyle Field. So I'm taking the Aggies at -2.5 here. I bought down a little bit. The spread is 3. I'm buying the half a point. Just in case if they do win by a field goal, we'll still cover. So I am taking the Aggies at -2.5. Those are 3 games on Sunday or on Saturday. There's a Sunday game, and it's at a neutral site. We got Miami, or not Miami. We have LSU and USC. They are going to be meeting in Vegas. LSU is the favorite. They're favored by 4 points. The line keeps dropping in this game. At one point in time, LSU was favored by 7.5, and now all of a sudden the line is 4. So Vegas is trying to tell us something. I'm saying fuck the points. I'm taking USC straight up. They're plus 160 to win. I think USC could be a dark horse to make the playoff this year. This could be a 9-3 team. Yes, USC in the past has played horrendous defense. But I do think with the new defensive coordinator that we hired from UCLA last year, UCLA was like a top 10 defense in the country. Don't take my word for it. Take Nick Saban's word. Nick Saban came out and said USC could be a dark horse team. He said that the staff that Lincoln Riley hired is a star-studded staff, and the defense is going to turn around wholeheartedly. So give me the Trojan plus 160. My guy Miller Moss is going to this could be a shootout of a game. This could be a game where you see like 60, 70 points. It might be a 35 game going into it, and the Trojans win by a field goal. Hell, I don't want to see it be as bad as it was last year, because we could not tackle for shit last year. It was so bad. Couldn't wrap up a soul. Couldn't wrap up a mummy if they gave us toilet paper. That's how bad it was for us to tackle. So I like the Trojans money line on Sunday. Could be a trap, as my cousin is saying in the comments, but man, LSU's defense ain't no better. Jaden Daniels had to carry that team to 40 points a game last year, and they lost. They lost 2 games, I think it was, last year. But I mean, hey, I think the defense is going to be a lot better. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be a top 10 defense. I think we got to go from 120. We were like 124, 124 the best in the country. Can we get to 50? Can we get to 45? Can I get to 30? Because I know my offense is going to be, offense is going to put up points regardless. I just need the defense to not give up 40 points a game like they did every single time. So, got the Trojans. So just to recap, we have Texas A&M minus 2.5 over Notre Dame. They are at home. We have Georgia minus 13 over Clemson. That's at a neutral site. We have Clemson. We're taking Miami on the road in Gainesville over the Gators. And then we are taking the Sunday game. This is a Sunday game, by the way, guys. Not on Saturday. It's going to be a Sunday night game. USC over LSU at Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders play, plus 160. If you guys want to get insanely crazy and parlay this, it's plus 1677. So you put $100 down, you win $1,600. If you want to parlay that, wouldn't advise that, but I'm saying if you want to get crazy, you could win $1,600 with this parlay. So, that's the hotline, man. We're back. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Hell yeah. And I already wrote down every pick for the hotline. Next to it, I wrote a little box that's either going to get a check for you hit it or an X for you didn't. And we are going to keep track so everyone can keep you accountable. But last year, Jaevon, we remember that you were well over 500 throughout the entire season. So now, season 2 of Vonny's Hotline, I can't wait to see how many you nail each week. So that is the return of Vonny's Hotline here on episode number 110 of Stats Over Politics. Kaz, any final thoughts?
No, not really. Just I thought it was a really good episode for one. I liked
for sure
a lot of. I mean, it appeared a lot like we were being extremely biased, but honestly, if you think about the things we were saying, I mean, looking at like the Super Bowl prediction, okay, the Eagles might make it, the Niners might make it. That's realistic, even though we just so happen to be 2 Niners fans and 2 Eagles fans. Shout out Kevin. But all jokes aside, very realistic. I think a lot of truly honest takes. Even Kevin, I think Kevin really believes in the squad like that. So
he does, yeah.
No, just and I salute my guy, right? But all in all, just a very, very good episode. I pretty much just can't wait for next week, honestly.
Football's back, baby.
Football's back, man, and it's almost time, and we all got that itch. So you can kind of see it on everybody's face. It's like almost everybody's just looking like this, had a nice cup of coffee, and they're ready to go after a long
Sunday
time.
ticket. Take my money.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good episode, great episode.
We're back. It was a great episode, Kaz. Thank you for joining us as always. We appreciate you. You can find him on YouTube at Kazzy Bear TV, as well as all of the other things that he's doing with fitness and everything. And we'll see Kaz next week. So we appreciate you. And I mean, you're nice to Kevin. I'm not going to be so nice to Kevin. With 4 out of 7 individual awards, boo this man. Boo him. I will be the hater. I don't care. Come on. 4 out of 7. I only had one 49er, but I digress. Hopefully, Kevin will be able to, he will be able to join us next week just because didn't have his laptop with him and the computer was giving him issues, but we will see Kevin next week as well as Jaevon and myself. And that's going to do it for episode number 110 of Stats Over Politics. You guys know the deal. If you're enjoying the podcast, please give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. But make sure to give this like or a video. See, 2.5 hours in, I'm fried. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. If you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats Or Politics to see all the great content Kevin's putting out there. Make sure to subscribe and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, like I said, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned into episode number 110 of Stats Over Politics, for my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kaz Johnson, and our guy, Kevin Dent, I've been your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week on episode 111 of Stats Over Politics. As my guy Gary would always say,